What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast, stealing the spotlight. Ryan, we are 37 days away from college football. We're not far off now. We get to go into the fun stuff like doing the preseason predictions where we're going to be terribly wrong, reveal our favourite players who are just going to do nothing for the year. We're nearly just about there.
Yep. It's just a quiet lull before the storm. Like week zero is on the horizons, and yeah, just felt crazy. It's been a blur. All the hard work as basically between seasons is done.
Yeah, it is. It's tough as well to do all these things without doing the all the conference previews and stuff and that this year. It's been very difficult just trying to fill this gap before we get to the real stuff that we're able to do there. So appreciate you all hanging in with us. This show is recorded today. You will see why in a moment because it's a bit of a big endeavor trying to make sure it all goes right. So I just want to make sure we do, and I don't have to worry about streaming at the same time. But what we're going to be doing today, essentially if long-time listeners of us will remember, this time last year we took all the Power Four, but basically, so the preseason teams where they announce it, it's like the preseason All-American teams that each conference announces the players they think are going to be the best in the conference that year. You get one for each of the Power Four conferences, and what we did is we stacked them all up against each other, all four conferences, and we ranked the strength of each unit. So the quarterbacks, the running backs, the tight ends, all that sort of stuff. The team we believed was the strongest, we would give 1 point to. The team we believe was the weakest, or the conference we believe was the weakest, we would give 4 points to. And when you get through all of them bit by bit, the conference with the lowest cumulative score of all is, in mine and Ryan's opinion, the one that carries the most talented team this year. It's just a bit of fun to start with the season, but it also gives us a bit of an opportunity to look at some of the more highly regarded potential draft prospects coming into this year because we love to do our work on small schools and draft sleepers, and we've done some of that already. So this week you're going to get to see some of the more higher rated prospects and our thoughts on those and how we're going to rank them. So that's all going to be good fun. That is the main aim for today. I'll just go through all the housekeeping stuff quickly. Royal Lines UK Discord, you want in, let us know about it. Don't forget to like and sub, Twitch, YouTube, all that good sort of stuff. We really appreciate you all for that. We're part of Lions Nation Unite. Help support them as well, because by doing that, you're supporting us in that endeavor. We're monetized, all that good sort of stuff. If you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you in the building talking ball with us. And we got the feedback form as well. So any suggestions you have for the show, anything like that, then please just put it in there, fill it in. We will take it all on board. We're gonna skip news today because there are some stuff. We'll talk about the SEC media days and that potentially at the end of the show, depending on how long we go with this. But we're really just gonna dive down into the main bit of today. So what is going to happen? I have a massive chart on my PC here, ranking all the teams up next to one another. I'm going to screen share as we go along because, I want to try and make the show more interactive with you guys because we talk about so much on here, so many players and that, and because I don't really have the soundboard and that there. I know it's easy to sometimes get a bit lost in the kerfuffle. So you're going to get to see the board as we reveal it, the rankings we do for it just to keep you up to date of where we are in the show, and you can see all the names and you can check out the guys you like, check out, people who intrigue you, etc. Hopefully, just makes it easier for all you guys, and plus then we can keep a close eye on it as well. So, you ready, Rye? In fact, the one thing we do need to check because I've split them down. So we've got quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line. I've split the defensive ends and the defensive tackles down, the linebackers and the corners. So we've got about 8 units. But I'm just thinking with the offensive lines, do we want to do it center guard tackle or do we want to do them as a fivesome? Um, because we did them as a fivesome last year, but sometimes I
Yeah,
feel that's a bit. If you've got like an elite center and then you've got shit
I'd
guards
probably
and
say like
tackles
centers and guards, and then
and
just
tackles.
tackles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, we'll break that down. We can do that.
interior and exterior probably fairer. Yeah,
Yeah, we can do that. We can do the centers then. We can do the guards. We can do the tackles. So there's going to be 12 different units we're going to do. Why is corner not on this sheet? You should have been on there. Just bear with me one moment. It's because I have extended the. Let's put this back in here. There we go. Let's hide you. Sorry about this. We'll quickly get underway, but I just want to make sure this is all done properly. I've messed up my own sheet by making the writing too big. So, think we're up and done. Okay, let us start. So, as I say, I'm going to share the screen now. So, hopefully this works. I have tried it out in pre-testing for this. So, hopefully now you are all able to see my nice big shiny board that we've got here. So this is the rating. So obviously we've got the Atlantic Coastal, the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10. As you can see on the right hand side, we've got a little board. It's going to be color coordinated as to who gets what. So purple is 4 points, yellow is 3 points, blue is two, green is one. So green for go if you're the great guy there, and then we go for it. So yeah, this is what we're going to do now. As we do this, I'm just going to reveal the names, go through the names, and I'm just going to unshare the screen for a moment because I have the stats on these guys, which I need to read out, and then we'll come back into the thing again. So, as I say, we'll do it. So, we're going to start on the quarterbacks. You ready, Rye? Let
Yep.
us reveal who is on the quarterbacks list here. So, starting us off. In the ACC, we have Cade Klubnik, quarterback for the Clemson Tigers. In the Big 12, we have Sawyer Robertson, quarterback from the Baylor Bears. In the SEC, we have Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback for the LSU Tigers. And in the Big 10, we have Drew Aller, quarterback of the Penn State Nittany Lions. So we'll just quickly stop sharing this for a moment. I'm back to Rise. So just quickly going through the stats of these guys. Cade Klubnik at Clemson, 37 games played, 7,169 passing yards at 6.8 yards per attempt, 57 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 62.4% career completion rating, 1,155 rushing yards at 5 yards per rush attempt, 13 rushing touchdowns, 23 fumbles.
How many?
Sawyer 23 fumbles,
Blimey.
13 rushing touchdowns. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. He's just played 23 games. Obviously, he was a transfer from Miss State. This was his first big year playing. 3,929 passing yards, 8 yards per pass attempt, which is the most of all these quarterbacks. 30 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 60.2% career completion. 464 rushing yards at nearly 6 yards per rush attempt, 5 touchdowns, just 3 fumbles for him. Garrett Nussmeier, 31 games, 5,762 passing yards, 7.7 yards per pass attempt, 40 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, 62.5% career completion, just 79 rushing yards at 2.3 yards per rush with 4 touchdowns and 6 fumbles. And then we've got Drew Aller of Penn State. 39 games, 6,300 passing yards, 7.5 yards per attempt. He's got 53 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 62.7 career completion, 787 rushing yards, nearly 5 yards per rush attempt, 11 touchdowns, and 9 fumbles. And I figure actually may as well just try and share this with you guys so you can read it all yourselves there with all these notes that I provide. So those are the stats we've got for the guys, the base stats. But, we're talking about rankings at this point. So we know three of these guys pretty well by now, right? Kate Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, all been around for a long time now, multiple season starters. Maybe fair to say we're not blown away by each and every one of them at this point. Maybe no outstanding number one at this point. We've got a buzzsaw in the room when it comes to Sawyer Robertson and this Baylor team, which we have high expectations for this year. I guess before we start talking about the rankings here, like I say, the three we really well know, and then Sawyer Robertson, who's had just the 1 year in the job, but potentially has upside higher than these other three, or at least some of them, so he's not last. Do you have an argument for not putting Sawyer Robertson at four, or do you believe at this moment in time that Sawyer Robertson should probably be at four?
Uh, it's hard because, as you say, he's got the most room for growth this year. Like I say, the guys, the others, we know what they're about. They're all kind of just scrambling now to make their case for next year's draft. Sawyer Robertson will have probably another year next year, so that's not a worry right now. But I mean, if you expedite what he's done in 23 games across, like say, 31, 37, 39, he's probably on par with all of them statistically wise. If you worked out an average, I reckon the numbers are the same. It's just a fact. The only thing that's held him back is short starter, and like I said, the others have not been on the others have not been on bad teams. Like the
No.
Baylor teams he's played on in recent years have been pretty poor, and that's not exactly necessarily his fault. So you can make a case where I would put Aller and Robertson on the same pedestal.
See, this is where I'm looking at here. So, Drew Aller, obviously, you look at his stats, he is by far the safest thrower of these. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way, he's very efficient with his play. But he's not the sexiest when it comes to throwing downfield. Obviously, he's not really had the receiver help there per se. But you look at his backfield, Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, in his time there, the pair of them together have rushed for 6,000 yards. Like, you have had a permanent 1-2 rotation at your back to help you since day one, which for me kind of limits you as to how much you can show about it being you and how much you're under pressure and you've got to do it without the run game. He's never really had to deal without that. Garrett Nussmeier has probably had the least help of any run game of these three teams. Like he has had to do a lot of the work himself at LSU, but he has five-star receiver targets to aim at all over the place. And then Cade's just been a bit of a slow. It feels like he's been a slow burner. Remember when we first started talking about him? It was like there was a lot of expectation for him. We were quite excited. Then he sort of hit the scene and we're like a bit, not really matching the hype, and you're almost sort of ready to give up on it. And then he does take that jump forward, and this Clemson team is looking like one of the most dangerous teams in the country again now. And yeah, I know he's had Will Shipley, and but I do feel like he's had to overcome a fair bit as well on the offensive side. Obviously, now he's got Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams, all these guys. It helps, but I don't know who. This is a tough one because I feel like Sawyer Robertson has the upside, and this is our opinion. Could he be better than any of these three? I guess that's the question we have to ask ourselves.
He's not he's not right now, but yes, he could definitely be better than one of these three. Because as you say, I love Cake Klubnik and I think he's got a great chance going over all, but he is a turnover machine. And
Hmm.
that's what will stop him going first overall. 23 fumbles is wild for a quarterback. He's
Yeah.
not even a running quarterback, really. He is still and you look at the passing yards, he's a pocket passer. He's just terrible under pressure, makes woeful decisions, has bad balls career. It will cost him going first overall. Ultimately, it's because he makes bad decisions. But yeah, I mean, right now, I'd probably put Robertson at four, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did this again at end of the year and he's like two.
I agree. There is part of me that's saying Sawyer Robertson should not be fourth. I believe he is going to be better than these guys, but it will take a lot, and obviously it will take this Baylor team being good as well. He does have the 1,000 yard running back with him, but I think right now I agree. If we're going for three, my instinct straight away is Drew Aller at
Yeah.
three. I'm. Are we agreed on that one? I like.
Yeah.
And this is me saying he could have been the Heis. I had him to win the Heisman. Was it last year or the year before? I think I had him to win the Heisman last year, potentially. Like, I do really like Drew Aller, but when you've got 6,000 rushing yard tandem at your back and you've not had to really do it under pressure. Yes, you've won in the playoffs, but you're still lacking a credible win in the regular season over Ohio State and Michigan. You ain't broken that ceiling. I think there's more questions to be asked of just yet. Now the question remains of the previous, because these are the two that have really had number one overall pick conversations thus far. Like for me, obviously, Klubnik is the better dual threat of these two, or despite the fumbles, but Nussmeier feels like the better thrower of the two. I don't think there's much difference in it here. Like, I feel like if Klubnik cleans up the turnover problem that he has, then he's better than Neusmeier. But it's really, really close for me. Are you leaning towards someone? I am happy to deviate this one here.
I like clubbing it more, but if I go in my head and not my heart, I put Nussmeier at one purely because he's better at protecting the ball.
I see. This is our thing, though. So if you do truly believe, then these are our
I think
rankings.
Kate Klubnik has got the best chance here of winning the Heisman, which I suppose makes I have to put him first, number one.
Okay.
And I
I
think, as you say, I think Clemson are special this year. I think they're on to something. This is the year like they get back to lofty heights.
see. That's where I'm at as well. Obviously, I guess the one mark against Neusmeier is they've never competed for the SEC championship while he's been there. He's never played a playoff game while he's been there. Whereas
I blame Brian Kelly.
oh yeah, you do, but
Yeah.
it's trying to surmise the quarterback in a
LSU's gone into
situation.
total hard. Like I said, LSU has got to be big this year in Clemson. They've done
Yeah,
a lot of work. They've brought a lot of guys in. It's time
yeah,
to come to fruition.
yeah. It's like say like with Allah, he's never had to work without a good run game before, so I can't say what his ceiling's probably going to be without having seen that. So there are just those things that hold you back with it. So I'm quite happy with those. So we got Club Nick first. A win for the ACC to start this off, then Neusmeier, then Aller, then Robertson, but we don't think he's going to be there very long. We think he's probably going to leapfrog some guys as the season goes on. Right, good start. Let's move this on to the running backs now. So let us release the groups. So there's two each here. So let me get them in. So we're going to go through them a little bit more, but I'm just going to read them out first. So the ACC are fielding Desmond Reed of Pittsburgh and Isaac Brown of Louisville. The Big 12 are fronting Bryson Washington of Baylor and Dylan Edwards of Kansas State. The SEC is fielding Jade Knott of Oklahoma and Quintravion Wisner of Texas. And then the Big Ten is fronting Mackie Hughes of Oregon and Nicholas Singleton of Penn State. So again, just going to quickly stop sharing this for a moment, just while I go through the stats for these guys here, because I mean, this for me is incredibly tough. So we start with the
Harder
ACC
than the quarterback.
first. Yeah, a lot harder than the quarterback. So the ACC, Desmond Reed of Pittsburgh, 5'8", 175 pounds. He was a 2-year Western Carolina Catamount. He spent just 1 year with the Pittsburgh Panthers. Overall, 2,688 rushing yards at 6.1 yards per carry, 22 touchdowns, just one fumble on 438 career carries. He's got over 1,000 receiving yards, five touchdowns receiving ones, and he's got a punt return touchdown as well. He had over 1,500 all-purpose yards for Pittsburgh last year in his first year in the FBS, nearly 1,000 on the ground, over 500 through the air. And then, of course, you've got Isaac Brown, the sensation at true freshman from Louisville. He's 5'9", 190 pounds. He is a 1-year player at Louisville going into his true sophomore year, but year one for him, 1,168 rushing yards at 7.2 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns. He fumbled just twice on 163 carries, which is a true freshman is pretty good. Just 152 receiving yards and a touchdown, but he had 12 kick returns for 223 yards at 18.6 yards per return. He is the first ever Louisville Cardinal true freshman running back to run for 1,000 yards. He is breaking history there already. I mean, before we rank these, we'll talk about them as we go through, right? But the ACC, that's forming a formidable pair there. The FCS upstart, who looked tremendous, and at 5'8" is a dual threat, which is rare. And then Isaac Brown was just tremendous last year. That is a good pair of running backs.
Yeah. The two smallest we're going to talk about probably all day. But these two, it's every phase in it. These two are just not running backs. They're just supreme athletes. They're kickers, they're returners, they're rushers, they're receivers. They are the complete real deals in these small little neatly put together packages. And these two are very dangerous in every facet of the game, which makes them quite an interesting duo. And yeah, they're doing it for the little guys.
Absolutely, they are. I'm really looking forward to seeing the pair of them this year. This Pittsburgh team, especially. is really intriguing me. So the Big 12's pairing is Bryson Washington of Baylor, Dylan Edwards of Kansas State. So Bryson Washington, 6 foot, 203 pounds, 2 years at Baylor. He's a 1 year starter. He was started as a redshirt freshman last year. His 2024 season, 1,035 rushing yards. 5.8 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns, just two fumbles on 177 carries. He had 210 receiving yards and one receiving touchdown. It was the best rushing season of any freshman in Baylor history. And he had the most 100 plus yard games of any freshman in Baylor history with six. And he didn't even start the season, which is crazy. He only got a shot in week three due to injury to their previous starter, but he didn't give that job up when he got it. And then you've got Dylan Edwards out of Kansas State, 5'9", just 167 pounds. But remember Deuce Vaughn, folks. He had 1 year at Colorado. Then he spent last year at Baylor. His 2024, he was 546 rushing yards, 7.4 yards per carry, five touchdowns. He fumbled it just once on 74 carries, 133 receiving yards with two touchdowns. He was the Big 12 offensive newcomer of the year. This is DJ Giddens' heir apparent as this lineage that stretches back to Deuce Vaughn looks to grow. He really announced himself in the bowl game with 196 yards and two touchdowns at over 10 yards per carry in the bowl game against Rutgers. His 7.4 yards per carry average was the highest of all Power 4 running backs with more than 70 carries. So maybe not the experience of a lot of these other units, right? But Bryson Washington took this league by storm next year. And we see him with Kansas State first with Deuce Vaughn, then with DJ Giddens, Deuce Vaughn especially. Doesn't matter if these guys are 5'8", 160, 170 pounds. Kleiman's system works and makes these guys superstars. So maybe he's not done it just yet, but in the little you saw last year, and I remember watching the bowl game against Rutgers, this looks like we've got the new star at K-State now to go with the emerging star at Baylor.
Yeah, these two are fresh faces at these programs now, so they've come in with not much tread on the tires. Actually, very little actual miles on the clock. So they're coming in right now. They're fresh faced. They've come off good seasons, and two teams as well that are chomping at the bit. Two teams, like I say, that are trying to get back to the top of the pile, get out to the sun level. So these two are going to go a long way to help them achieving their goals, definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Big 12 is just going to be great for its running backs again. It's obviously lost a ton of guys in the draft last year, so potentially on paper not as strong as what it was last season. But when you lose the amount of running backs you do there, you've got to start over at some point. The SEC then fronting Jaden Ott from Oklahoma and Quintravian Wisner from Texas. Jaden Ott, 6 foot, 210 pounds, spent 3 years at Cal. This will be his first year at Oklahoma. 2,586 rushing yards at 4.8 yards per carry, 24 touchdowns, just four fumbles on 532 career carries. He's got 739 receiving yards and six touchdowns, and he has a kick return touchdown as well. 12 months ago was one of the best running back prospects in the nation, and when fully healthy, he is a pure game changer. He's 10th all time on Cal's rushing yard list currently, but injury severely disrupted his season last year. He ended up averaging just 3.3 yards per carry on 116 attempts, whilst his running mate Star Thomas went at 6.3 yards per carry on 100 attempts. So it wasn't like this was a terrible O-line run blocking issue, because Star Thomas found a way to make it work last year. The injury really put a dampener on Jade Knott. And then obviously he's gone to a team that is coming off a shockingly bad season and also could not block for the run to save their lives. So it's a brave choice by him to go there, but no doubt on his day he's a star. And then Quintravian Wisner at Texas, he's 6 foot, 194 pounds, so two taller running backs here. 2 years at Texas. His first year he was a primary special teamer. Last year he became starter, so his 2024 he had 1,060 rushing yards at 4.7 yards per carry, five touchdowns, two fumbles on 226 attempts, 311 receiving yards, which was third on the team, and one touchdown. This was the man who stood up after, remember, all those injuries that Texas were decimated by in the running back room last preseason. This is the guy who stood up in their place. He's a dual threat running back who really has only scratched his potential so far, and he's obviously going to be best mate to the most watched player in college football this season, Arch Manning. Interesting group here, right? It's very hard to judge Jade or not now. We know he's a star, but last year just really set him back and he just never looked the same last year. And he's going to a team we don't know if he's going to show out. But then Quintravian Wisner, along with Jaden Blue, these guys at Texas, they just create these really high level dual threat running backs. And Wisner really stood up for his team last year and is turning himself into a star. And like I say, he's going to be playing with the most popular guy in college this year. The stage is his, ready to take. This could potentially be a great duo again, but the star has questions.
Yeah, we get to the household names now, and like I say, it's interesting because Jaden Ott, I didn't like the move to Oklahoma, but obviously then when you think about they get that new offensive coordinator that worked with Taj Boyd at Texas Tech, and then you think, yeah, he knew how to run the ball, and he even out of a great O line, so that feels good. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be boom or bust for Ott. This will either look like a terrible decision or it will do wonders for his draft stock. Like I say, he's incredibly talented on a Cal team that unfortunately in the end just couldn't keep him around because like I say struggled. And then Contavious Wisner, the kid had to bide his time, like I say, when the chips started falling and when like Jaden Blue went down, who I absolutely loved, and then he had to got the call up going towards the playoffs. Came in, like I say, this guy's got what 1,000 miles on the clock. Like I say, he's got a full tank going this season. Can make him a massive name for himself. Like I say, the sky's the limit for Wisner, and then Jane not. He's got a lot to prove. Like say that he made this decision based off purely thinks they can help him, not just like say what they can do for NIL and money. I'd hate to see him like say have a down year and everyone like yeah. Collectively though, yeah, two of the best potentially in the country.
Yeah, all this, a lot of this ranking is going to be based on what we think Ott's going to be after this year. Like, you would hope he's still good to go, and he's the guy who was, because he was my favorite of all these guys
If
once
he stayed
upon a
at
time.
Cal, he would have had
So,
an absolute monster year, but
yeah,
would it have done him any good?
yeah. If Oklahoma win 8, 9, 10 games this year and suddenly look a great team again, and he's the reason behind it, then
Yeah.
his stock
It's a
shoots
new
back
all-star
up.
Oklahoma team, let's say, with all the shiny new toys, so it's going to
Yeah.
get a lot of national eyes.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. And then we've got the Big Ten, and this is where the experience lies. So Mackie Hughes of Oregon, Nicholas Singleton of Penn State. Mackie Hughes, 5'11", 210 pounds, most famously associated with his 3 years at Tulane, two of which he was a starter. This is his first year at Oregon. Obviously, he's got the big move up to the Ducks to replace Jordan James. In his 2 years starting, 2,776 rushing yards at 5.3 yards per carry, 22 touchdowns. He has never fumbled the football despite having 520 carries in college, 247 receiving yards, and two touchdowns. In 2 years, he became the sixth leading rusher in Tulane history. His 1,403 yards last year was ninth nationally. All eight players above him were drafted. 1,084 of those yards were after contact, which was sixth in the nation. 61 missed tackles forced was 18th. He now needs to show it at the Power 4 level, but there is no doubting he is an insanely talented running back. The only thing that may work against him, he's never done return work. He's got precious little special teams work on there, but if you come a star at Oregon, it doesn't matter. And then Nicholas Singleton at Penn State, I've loved this guy ever since they recruited him. 6'1", 220 pounds. He spent 3 years at Penn State. 2,916 rushing yards. He's got two 1,000 yard seasons. He averages 5.8 yards per carry, 32 touchdowns, six fumbles on 501 carries, but just one in 2024. It's a problem he's really sorted. 767 receiving yards, eight touchdowns, 1,068 kick return yards with one touchdown, and he has amassed all these stats whilst working in a rotation with Katron Allen his entire career. Katron Allen has 2,877 yards in his 3 years just as a rusher, and this is really intriguing. Singleton is now 10th all time in Penn State rushing, but he and Allen are potentially in position to launch an assault on number one. He needs 470 yards to go top three. He needs 933 yards to top Saquon Barkley at number two. He needs 1,021 yards to dethrone Evan Royster from the number one spot. I think back in about 2010 he set that. Him and Katron Allen could realistically go 1-2 in Penn State history if they both have 1,000 yard years, which they did last year. But this is where the stats lie, Rice. Nicholas Singleton, five-star recruit, a lot of hype coming into the program about him. He is not disappointed. He has been every bit as good as they thought he was going to be. And Mackie Hughes absolutely deserves this chance at a team like Oregon. He has been flawless for Tulane the last 2 years, and these are the two monsters who've amounted the stats who could break a lot of records this year. It is an insanely talented duo.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Mackie Hughes. It's a great pickup for Oregon. Like I said, their O line is good. Their run system was good. It created plenty of room for John James. It was only like 5'7", 5'8". Small, slender kid, didn't have a lot of muscle, but they just paved the way for him to have a good career. And then Nicholas Singleton, yeah, could end the season as the best knitting line in history. He should get an 1,021 easily. Could get that with his eyes closed. And yeah, potential first round pick. I don't know. Is it at this point to say it's a formality? I'm not sure how the draft works, but if he gets that, yeah, probably a lock.
I mean, you're a triple threat, right? You're a 1,000 yard returner. You're a receiver. You're yeah, potentially 4,000 yard rusher. Like providing you, and you've not really had any injuries. I think the great thing about him and Allen is they've worked rotation all the time. That it's silly they've not got a lot of mileage on the clock, despite the fact they've both been starters for 3 years.
Yeah. And we know if Penn State's going to do anything this year, then they ain't going to go away from the bread and butter. It won't be what Allen does, it'll be what these two do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, so. Let me just quickly get back onto our sheet so you can see it all again as we. And I feel like we're going to struggle to do this here, so bear with me. We're back on the sheet again, so as you can see, these are the running back rooms here. Um, my instant thought, I love Bryson Washington. I think Dylan Edwards is going to be a star going forward, but I feel like the Big 12 is going to finish fourth again this time.
Yes, I've got the Big 12 fourth.
All right. So they finished fourth twice now. Not a good start for the Big 12 there, but hopefully that will change in upcoming rounds here. Now this gets very tough. See, for me, Desmond Reed and Isaac Brown are insanely talented. One's proved himself from a small school. One's done himself as as a true freshman. I really like this unit and don't want to put them third. But I guess I don't know who they're in competition with here. It's This is all coming down to Jade Knott. Jade Knott is supremely talented, but is he going to be the guy he was before his injury and didn't look right last year? There's part of me wanting to put the ACC before the SEC here, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm very comfortable putting the SEC third.
You are?
Yeah.
Me too. And again, I'm not knocking any of these guys. I think
Weisner was a role player, like you say, and he came in and had a good impact and small thing. But I just look at Reed, I look at Brown, I just think the impact they had on their schools
was huge.
was huge.
And
And
to
it'll have to be huge again for them this year because they're both struggling teams.
Yeah, these are two guys I really like. So are we going to put the ACC in second for this?
Yeah.
I'm quite happy putting them in second.
When I looked at it first, I like Big Ten is obviously first.
Yeah,
It was,
like obviously,
yeah.
like say, Mackie Hughes is one of your
Mackie Hughes
favorite
will win
players.
big. Mackie Hughes, I think, prediction will win Big Ten newcomer of the year.
Oh, I think I could see that absolutely. But we got one of your favorite players on there, one of my favorite players on there. I was quite up for that as well. So, yeah, I think I'm happy with that, and I don't think it's a stretch to say the ACC guys are good because like Isaac Brown's ceiling is insane, and so is Desmond Reed's. He's just so good, and I have a penchant for this Pittsburgh team. Right, we're going to move on to the receivers now. So this is a three-man show per conference. So let's get these up when I can get the right one. Da-da-da-da-da. So the ACC is putting forward Antonio Williams of Clemson, Colin Lacey of Louisville, and Eric Rivers of Georgia Tech. The Big 12 is putting forward Jordan Tyson of Arizona State, Eric McAllister of TCU, and Chase Roberts of BYU. Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, and Aaron Anderson are fronting the SEC, and the Big Ten is fronted by Jeremiah Smith, Elijah Sarrett, and Denzel Boston. So those are the guys there. And again, I'm just gonna retreat to my notes. I feel like there's a very obvious number one here, and I hope we're going to agree on that. But just a little bit about these guys. I'll try and keep it a little briefer because we've got a lot to go through. So Antonio Williams at Clemson, I mean, one of the absolute studs there, right? He's 5'11", 190 pounds. He's traditionally their slot receiver, although he does play a little bit on the outside. But the thing that stands out about him, second highest NFL passer rating when targeted in the nation, i.e., he makes quarterbacks look bloody good. And that's why Cade Klubnik gets a lot of rep there because Antonio Williams is that guy. Colin Lacey out of Louisville, 5'10", 190 pounds, also a slot receiver. And again, for long-time listeners to the show, you'll know who he is. He was the South Alabama breakout in 2023. He actually transferred to Louisville last year. A shoulder injury kept him out for the season, so he wasn't able to play, but he is fully healthy and ready to go again. And 2 years ago, he was one of, if not the best receiver in the group of five, and Louisville have huge designs on him this year. And then Eric Rivers from Georgia Tech. He is Eric Singleton's replacement on this roster. He is 5'11", 175 pounds. He's outside receiver. He's just transferred in from Florida International from the CUSA, had 1,000+ yard season last year, and he was ninth in missed tackles forced in the nation. Once he gets the ball, it's damn hard to bring him down. And he had the best average depth of target of all the receivers you're going to hear about here. It was over 15 yards per throw. So he is quite quintessentially the deep threat here, and he's going to be a big acquisition for the Yellow Jackets to replace Eric Singleton, who has gone to Auburn. This group, we have a bona fide stud star on here, and then it's the group of five stars coming up here. But obviously, we've not had a chance to see Lacey yet, but there's no doubt him and Rivers are both really talented, and you would think they are going to take to life in the ACC well. And they've got a lot of good tape on there, right?
These three are like different to all the other guys we'll talk about because these guys, like I say, they're all shorter, they're slimmer, they're thinner. But like I say, these guys are probably the best collective group after the catch. Like I say, these guys have got that yak. They've got a good ability to get downfield, like I say, make those big, deep plays. So I really like this group as a collective. Like they've all done really good stuff at the previous schools, and then they've come to their schools, like I say, made difference. And yeah, they're interesting. Like I said, Rivers at FIU was he was a stud, and like I say, a lot of schools around the country wanted him. He had a lot of interest going into the portal and could have picked up many of these schools. Lacey, big name. Unfortunate to miss it out last year. Hopefully comes back with bang this year. And Antonio Williams forms part of like an elite court Clemson. He's fantastic. He does some of his best work, like I say, going outside, going inside to outside. He makes up for that smaller, slender frame by being very physical. So yeah, as a collective, I think it's a very good group.
Yeah, I do as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them. But I think they probably do have a ceiling as far as the rankings are going to go here, but that doesn't mean my views on them are going to change anymore. The Big 12, one guy you're going to know very well, Jordan Tyson, the star receiver from Arizona State, 6'2", 195 pounds. He is a hybrid receiver, although he does play a little more on the outside, I believe. 67% contested catch rate, by far the best of all these receivers we're going to mention here. Like, you dude goes up for the ball, he gets it. He's also the best graded run blocker of all these three. We've got Eric McAllister out of TCU, 6'3", 205 pounds, the outside wide receiver. He spent 2 years at Boise, racked up about 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns for them. Had a breakout 2023, went to TCU last year. Obviously, he was the wideout complement to Jack Besh, but he got 762 yards and 5 touchdowns in his first year in the Power Four out of the group of five. And then we got another big guy out of BYU, Chase Roberts. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He is also a hybrid receiver. He's 65-35 on favor of the outside. But for me, when you're playing in one position 35% of the time, that for me is enough to class you as a hybrid. And he's another who's an emerging talent. So it's in the case of, hang on, let me get his receiving numbers up here very quickly. Did have them around. So 3 years at BYU. Last year he went for 851 yards and four touchdowns. He's an excellent receiver. He's got 1,800 yards and 12 touchdowns altogether. He's exactly what you expect a BYU receiver to be. He's tough. He's a good run blocker as well, although not quite as good as Tyson. And he's like Puka Nacua, really gone completely under the radar because the team he's been on has not really been great as of recent. So, it's diamond in the rough time with him. But I know you'll know two of these guys incredibly well, right? They're taller, they're bigger, they're more bullies. They're a different style to what we've seen before. But the Big 12 we've seen create good receivers, and they're led by a superstar. And he's got two very good guys right behind him.
Yeah, this is an interesting group. Like I said, John Tyson. I mean, first round pick next year. I think that's not, yeah. If it wasn't for the shoulder injury that missed the playoffs, Arizona State would have had a better chance at beating, would have had a better chance of beating Texas without him. Because, like I say, he was the best, one of the best players in the whole nation at the time that he went down with season-ending injury. Like I say, he's come back now, totally fit. He's going to have a monster year. Like I say, he is Sam's go-to guy, and he is an absolute menace. Like I say, he's physical, he's strong, his best stuff is at line of scrimmage. Eric McAllister, interesting one, because as you say, he was just in Jack's shadow because Josh Hoover's first read was always, "Where's Jack? How do we get the ball to Jack?" They were very one-dimensional, and as much as I liked it, it hurt them in the long run. Like I said, Eric had a chance. Now Eric's going to be the guy. They'll probably be pretty one-dimensional again, but now Eric's going to get all the targets that Jack has left behind. Like I say, he's a well put together guy. Showed good hands. Like I say, he was a good complimentary guy. Can he make the jump up to be a wide receiver one? Like I say, one of the top guys in the nation. I think he's got the talent to. Like I say, it'll just be if the rest of the team can get him the ball. And then Chase Roberts, interesting in him for one, like I say, because at the last minute now he'll be changing quarterback. So he's got a very interesting season ahead of him. If he can emerge and prove to be like one of those guys that can show experience and leadership in that room and help a guy that's getting thrusted into the job, he could have quite an interesting year. Like I say, he's in that in between a build where he's very tall, but he's also quite lean. So if he can work on the blocking, if you can work on his short yardage stuff, be good in the red zone. You've got an interesting mix here. You've got some tougher, more physical guys here that less flashy, there's less speed here as well.
Yeah, this is what you would call the going to work receiver group, where they go and graft and do a blue collar job for the living. That's the group you get there. But all three very talented in their own right. But then we get to the SEC, and I'm not sure how much argument there's going to be here. Ryan Williams out of Alabama, 6 foot, 175 pounds. He's only 17 years old guy. 865 yards and eight touchdowns in his true freshman season, going at 18 yards per reception. Started off on fire, did ease out a little bit towards the season ending, but that's still a pretty good first year, all things considered. You've got Cam Coleman, the five-star plus recruit from Auburn, also a true freshman last year. 598 yards and eight touchdowns for him on a much worse team with a much worse quarterback, but at 16.2 yards per reception, also had a really good year. He's got a much better quarterback this year, and he's got Eric Singleton for company as well. And then we've got the lesser heard about Aaron Anderson from LSU. He is 5'8" and 188 pounds. He is their slot receiver. And he's the yak master here. 7.5 yards after catch per reception on average is sixth in the nation. So this is Garrett Nussmeier's comfort blanket. Every time he's under a bit of pressure and he needs a safety valve, someone to throw at, Aaron Anderson is his man. And in this day and age where the five-star outside receivers at LSU get all the love, Aaron Anderson's gone under the radar. He was the most targeted receiver last year by some distance, and also yardage wise, he is incredibly hella underrated. I mean, right here we've got two of the best true freshman wide receivers in the country coming off pretty good, true freshman years by all accounts. And then you've probably got one of the better slot receivers in the nation on one of the most prolific teams for creating NFL talent. This is a holy trinity of a trio. You put these three together with a half decent quarterback, they'd all be going for 1,500 yards in a year.
Yeah, it's crazy as well because there's so many guys you could put on this list, and I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. I'd
No.
have been like, yeah, like say you could have put in Dinkins, you could have put in Barry and Brown, exact same player as Aaron Anderson, also now at LSU. Like there is a riches, but these three, yeah, Ryan Williams, one of the Heisman favorites. Cam Coleman's one of my sleepers for the Heisman, and that could have a stellar year at Auburn, which should be better. Aaron Anderson, a guy that will often get overlooked, but is just a true gadget player that hurts defenses multiple ways. You get the ball in the hands and then you just let him go to work, and we'll probably have an absolutely massive year because Garrett Nussmeier is going to want to go out for splash. So these three, they're just going to light up the stat boards this year.
Absolutely, they are. And then we finish it off with the Big Ten receivers for this year. We've got Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State, Elijah Sarrett out of Indiana, and Denzel Boston out of Washington. So Jeremiah Smith, 6'3", 215 pounds, outside receiver. One drop all season on his way to 1,311 yards and 15 touchdowns at a mere 17.3 yards per reception. Probably one of the best true freshman wide receiver years we have ever seen. This guy's got God-given talent there. But his next running mate has had to do it the hard way. Elijah Sarrett. Absolutely love this kid. 6'2", 209 pounds. He is also an outside receiver. This is his journey through college. In 2022, he was playing for St. Francis, PA, 672 yards and 13 touchdowns for him that year. Got him a transfer to James Madison, where in 1 year he went for 1,199 yards and 8 touchdowns, which impressed Kurt Signetti enough that he goes, you know what? Come to Indiana with me. I need you on my team there. And like so many of the James Madison players last year, he just broke out in Indiana. He had 957 yards and 8 touchdowns at 18.1 yards per reception and did well in his blocking instance as well. Was one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten last year. And then we've got the wild card in this group who I've watched more of his tape as we've gone along, and I actually really like this kid, and he's on a team that a lot is expected of him this year. And so that's Denzel Boston at Washington. He is 6'4", 209 pounds. He is the outside receiver there. Last year was his first year as a starter on the team. 63 receptions, 834 yards, 9 touchdowns. Good contested catch ratio, about 56%. Targeted quite a bit on the year, but his drop grade is 82. He barely drops a thing. He doesn't fumble the ball. He is a really good outside threat. And the amount of times you see him in the end zone on his own because he shook a marker off, like I see big things in the future for him here. I think this is maybe outside of Jeremiah Smith. You've got two really underrated guys here. One guy who's worked his way from rock bottom to the top and has never stopped smashing it out the park, and Denzel Boston, who's going to figure to be the main target on one of the most intriguing teams in college this year with one of the most intriguing quarterbacks. But he is very talented and he is only just reaching his ceiling. Another terrific trio.
Yeah, this, as you say, hard working, the Big Ten is great. It's not always flashy. These guys are physical, they can hold their own. They're part of interesting programs, let's say, that have got varying degrees of lofty aspirations. Indiana, new kids on the block, I suppose. Like I say, they're now kind of like say just making a name for themselves. Washington on a downward trajectory, but Denzel Boston has been a guy because let's say they've had issues at QB, they've had overturn on the roster. So he's had a kid that's had to step up at his first chance. Jeremiah Smith, well, I think probably the most known, apart from Ryan, the most known wide receiver in the country. Like I say, and he's destined for greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. He is like there is some absolutely terrific guys on here. So let's get back up to the grid again and let's get ranking. So I mean, I think this goes without saying that the SEC's number one. and I don't think we would argue about that. So I know we've done four first, but let's just get the easy one out of the way. So that is going to be one, and
I give him number
then
one because, like I say, Ryan over Jeremiah, Cam over Elijah, but Denzel over Aaron. A 2-1
yeah.
aggregate for me gives it the SEC, yeah.
Yeah, and then we're going to put the Big Ten in second, yes?
Yeah.
I feel like the Big Ten's going to get second with that because, yeah, I low-key really like Denzel Boston, but I love Elijah Sarah, and I hope he gets the draft love he deserves this year. So you're going green. Now we've got to decide between the other two because we do have two bona fide stars in here, but the Big 12 has a potential first-round draft pick, and I think McAllister and Roberts are better than they've been given the opportunity to be so far. Like I say, Eric McAllister is going to fly this year with no Jack Besh round and Josh Hoover going for a potential Heisman Trophy. And I think Chase Roberts all depends on what happens with the QB there. It's going to be tough for him, but his brand is built on blocking and being a tough arse as well as being a receiver. I feel like that outdoes the ACC just because Colin Lacey's injury. We don't know how it's going to affect him after that time, and Eric Rivers is only just making the step up, even though he's hella talented. I don't think Antonio Williams on his own does enough to get over Tyson and McAllister. Do you agree or do you dissent?
I'm leaning towards giving it the Big 12 third, yeah. I think Eric McAllister, big year under his belt as a two, is probably ready to take the one step.
All right, I can get behind that. So the ACC is going to take fourth position there. Lovely. Right, let's move on to the tight ends. We're making good progress here. So only one of each, of course, this time because there's only so many tight ends, good ones in the world, and we have representing the ACC Justin Joly of NC State. In the Big 12, we have Joe Royer of Cincinnati. In the SEC, we have Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt. And then in the Big 10, we have Max Clare of Ohio State. So again, as always, we'll just stop sharing the screen so I can go get my stats here. Tight ends. Justin Joly, NC State. Now, I'm going to admit I'm a little bit biased here, so I may have to be talked down off my horse a little bit. 6'3", 251 pounds, 2 years at UConn, 1 year at NC State. A terrific receiving option, and I would argue maybe the best out of these four. He's got 1,500 receiving yards over his 3 years with 8 touchdowns. He is really tough. He is an excellent contested catcher. So last year for NC State, he won 11 of 13 contested catches, 85%. No one else is even close to that. He's an above average run blocker. He's a special teamer on the field goal kick unit as well. And he played really well on what was, I'm going to admit, was a bad team last year, but he's got a better quarterback this year, so we'll see. Joe Royer at Cincinnati, he's 6'5", 255 pounds. Big chunky dude. He had 3 years in minor rotation at Ohio State. Went to Cincinnati last year to go get a starting opportunity. Had 522 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns on 50 receptions. 30 first down receptions of the 50, so a reliable chain mover for the QB there, who I have no idea who the QB at Cincinnati is. He's a below average run blocker, though, but he is really good as a pass protector. But first year as a starter, so the game has not developed yet. Eli Stowers at Vanderbilt. You all know about him if you've listened to this pod for any amount of time, because we love him. 6'4", 235 pounds, 2 years at Texas A&M, 1 year at New Mexico State, last year at Vanderbilt, and spending a second year at Vandy here. He is the closest thing you will ever find to a Taysom Hill clone. He started life as a quarterback at TAMU and then New Mexico State. He backed up Diego Pavia there before he got flexed out to receiver. Somebody saw something because he has now over 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns in the last 2 years. He was utilized as a running back in New Mexico State with 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's got 2 passing touchdowns as a QB, and he certainly has it in his arsenal to get designated quarterback plays. He's a steadily improving run blocker, and he's a key cog in this Vanderbilt renaissance that they're undergoing. And he's a yak man. He gets a ton of yak after the catch. He's very tough to bring down with that frame. And then you got Max Clare at Ohio State. He's 6'4", 236. Spent 3 years at Purdue. One as a starter. He's another receiving tight end. Was Purdue's leading receiver by a mammoth distance last year with 684 yards and 4 touchdowns. No other receiver past 370 yards. He's got very poor blocking grades, but he's been on one of the worst teams in the Big Ten the last couple of years, so might be hard to forgive that. But a group of receiving tight ends here, right? Few have had to transfer and have only got 1 year in there, but there is some very intriguing potential with some of these guys in here, none more so than with Eli.
Yeah, this is an interesting mix. I was surprised when Stowers came back to college, to be honest. I thought he would have declared for the draft, and I thought it would have been a lock to be picked purely because, yeah, he's fun and he's physical, and like I say, he's smart. There's a lot of things you can do with him. Yeah, he's been a gadget player, but honestly, he's the kind of guy that someone will have a plan for at the next level, and he'll get on the field one way or another, whatever he's doing.
Yeah,
And yeah,
absolutely.
Claire managed to stand out in one of the worst teams. It's no hyperbole to say the Boilermakers were one of the worst teams in the country last year. They were a disaster. No matter who was under centre, like I said, the coaching staff, they just looked lost weekly, and he still managed to shine. God knows how, but that is a credit to him for not just downing tools where guys did.
Mm. Yeah, you do have to admire guys like that. You see, you've had a lot of good talent go. Will Held went to Clemson. He's got the move to Ohio State, and quite obviously they have a need at tight end this year, and they do like to utilize the receiving tight ends. So there's a lot of potential for Max Clare at Ohio State. So let me get the list back up for everybody. You can see where we're at here, and we will go about ranking these tight ends. So back up we go. So my initial instinct will be to put Joe Royer at 4. He's only had 1 year starting
Ceiling
at
is capped because he's a
Cincinnati.
limited receiver.
Yeah, he's only had 1 year at Cincinnati. Maybe not had the chance to fully prove himself just yet. Yeah, I'm going to put him there. Now this gets interesting because I'm going to bat very heavily for Justin Joly here. I know he didn't have the best year last year, but I think on his day out of all of these guys, he has the potential to be a special playmaker on his day who can just do that thing the rest of them can't. So I'm not really willing to put him at 3, but I don't think Eli Stowers, with his versatility, deserves to be at 3. And plus, people think he's going to be a first round draft pick, and Justin Joly is not right now. But then Max Clare, you feel bad with him being such a good receiver on such a poor team, and he's going to be at Ohio State, and he's probably going to do some numbers this year as well. I don't know. Who is your initial thought for 3 here, and we'll hash it out.
Uh, I like Max Clare, but it's not fair to grade him on what he could do. Like
Hmm.
I have to take the Buckeyes out of it. Even I think he could be one of the best. Star Wars. How much better can he get at Vanderbilt? Should he have
Hmm.
declared? Jolie, yeah, like I say, he's incredibly important to them and what they do.
See, with Stowers, it's just how good can it because people, he's mocked to go in the first round, and it's all because of the versatility. How much do they do with him?
See,
But I'm with you.
I think that's crazy. Star Wars in the first round.
I feel like he's got a ceiling, and I feel like he's got a ceiling that is not particularly high. I feel like he's a very good utility man who could be
Put Star
like,
Wars at 3.
oh, I would. You know what? Yeah. I can buy that. I do love Eli Stowers. We do stand for him here. But yeah, I think it's just something about the ceiling. Despite him doing all this stuff well, I do feel bad. But then we go to 2 and 1. See, I was gonna put Jolie at 2, but I think if you're measuring Jolie against Claire, I would put Claire at 2, but I'm biased to Jolie, so if you think different, I'm willing to defer because I'm not going to let my bias get in the way.
See, Claire can't block.
No, and Justin can.
So if I'm looking
Um,
at a more well-rounded guy, you can make a case to put Claire at two.
yeah, I
I'm
would.
fully expecting Claire to have a monster year, but
Yeah, I do as well. This might change. I do think Jolie and Claire will be above him. So yeah, I'm going to give the win to Justin Jolie here. I do think he's more, and I do watch NC State a lot, so I'm not completely biased on this. I just think there's something in there that puts him out above these other three. Right, let's move it on. And we said we're going to split down the centers, guards, and tackles. So let's do the centers first. No need to go too much into the centers because we did a center show last week. So if you want to hear our views on the centers, then by all means get us for that one. But there's one guy we didn't mention who's on here. So centers. The ACC puts forward Pete Nigra of Louisville. The Big 12 is Bryce Foster of Kansas. The SEC is Parker Brailsford of Alabama. And then the Big 10 is Logan Jones of Iowa. We've talked about Foster, Brailsford, and Logan Jones at depth already, but let me just quickly give you the down low on Peter Nigra. Louisville, 6'4", 300 pounds. He spent 3 years at Northern Illinois, two as a starter. He spent last year as starter at Louisville. He's got 2,377 snaps at center over his career. He has surrendered just one sack on 1,185 pass protection snaps, and the run blocking was graded at 70 last year. He's been a good career center, but he is yet to put up like even close to elite level numbers or tape that suggest a big future at the next level thus far, even though the stats would potentially say he is. He's not really graded above 74 of anything his entire career. So let's just say a little better than average with Peter Nigra there. But Louisville team with Miller Moss this year could potentially be special. So we'll see with him. Quickly break down the others. So Parker Brailsford, obviously one of the two predominant guys this year, along with Jake Slaughter, who could easily have been on this list for the SEC as well, but he's
is
very
there a reason he isn't on the list?
I just he likes Parker Brailsford more, so I think maybe it's a mistake 'cause it might weaken the SEC down. But Logan Jones has played like 38 games for Iowa. He's been an incredibly solid center for them. And you know what Iowa make these linemen like? They are tough as nails, very technically refined, very good, and he's got another year to prove that. He's going to be vastly experienced going into the draft. And then Bryce Foster, obviously you've mentioned at Kansas there potentially a lot to come from him. I assume we're going to give the ACC fourth here. I don't think, Niagara did
It's
not
not a knock
appear.
on Peter. I think it's purely just who he's coming up against.
Yeah, because he didn't appear on our centers list either, so we would kind of be a little bit disingenuous if
Louisville
oh
not
hang
exactly
on.
known for their
Yeah,
producing top tier linemen.
hang on, let me just put it back up so people can see again while we do this. So Peter Nigra of Louisville, we're going to give the fourth place to. Now this gets interesting because I probably prefer Logan Jones a bit more to Bryce Foster, but you probably prefer Bryce Foster a bit more to Logan Jones to me. Is that accurate, or am I barking up the
See,
wrong
I
tree
like
there?
longevity. I like experience under center. So I can make a strong case for Jones higher than Foster.
Mm. But how good would you say Bryce Foster is though? Because you did have him as one of your top guys.
Yeah.
I know
He's
there's a
very
lot.
well rounded, but he is, like, say, an interior project, can just do a bit of everything. But if I'm grading him as a center, I probably have to put him behind Jones.
All right then. So we'll put Bryce Foster at three, when I can get it. There we go. We'll put Logan Jones at two,
Yeah.
which I
I'm
agree
pretty
with.
conflicted that Brailsford's even there, but yeah,
Yeah,
better than the guys that he's there with anyway. Yeah.
yeah, I think Parker's the best of the lot. Jake Slaughter, I think, would be way above this if he was in there, but I think we can agree that's fine. So we've got the centers done. We're going to move on to the guard pairings now. It's going to look a little bit weird with it being in one group, but I need to fit them all on the page for you all to see. So who do we have? guard here for everybody. So the ACC is fronting Kalen Rutledge from Georgia Tech and Inez Cooper from Miami. The Big 12 is fronting Omar Aigbedion from Baylor and Xavier Hill from Colorado. The SEC is fronting Fernando Carmona from Arkansas and Caden Green from Missouri. And the Big 10 is fronting Emmanuel Prignon from Oregon and Vega Ioane from Penn State. I had to go and learn those
Can I
names
pronounce that?
specifically for this. It is correct that no one uses his full name, Aleva Vega Ioane, but it's Ioane. I know that much, so we're good there. So those are your four guard pairings. And again, let me just stop sharing so I can go through the stats for these guys and give a bit of a thing to them. So the ACC guys, Kalen Rutledge from Georgia Tech. He's 6'4", 310 pounds, spent 2 years at Middle Tennessee, 1 year at Georgia Tech, 2,100 snaps at right guard. He became a permanent team captain when only a sophomore at Middle Tennessee, and he was first team All-CUSA in 2023, earning himself a move to the Power Four. And in his first year last year, he was All ACC in his first year. He was the first non-specialist Yellow Jacket to get that honor since Shaq Mason in 2014, and he's had a pretty decent NFL career there. According to PFF, he blew just two blocking reps in 400, so only two times he really got beaten on pass protection out of 400. That ranked first amongst every single guard in the ACC. He is a pass protection specialist. He has given up just 3 sacks and 2 hits over his career of over 1,200 pass protection snaps. He's hovered around 60 as a run blocker all his career. That MTSU team was not good when he was there, and Georgia Tech were meh last year. But if he takes a step forward as a run blocker, he'll be a highly coveted draft prospect, I believe, next year. And then Inez Cooper at Miami. He's 6'6", 350 pounds. He is a chunky boy, big beefy boy. 3 years at Miami, 2,074 snaps at right guard. Showed a very promising sophomore year, but then he did actually regress in both disciplines in 2024. So he is looking for a big senior year, obviously protecting Carson Beck now. Has struggled in the run game due to his height at 6'6". It's not easy for these guys at guard to get it right there. So there needs to be some improvement there, but he is an above average pass protector. He did give up 3 sacks and 4 hits last year, so he needs to bring the numbers down. But he was a highly rated recruit there. He has flashed serious potential in that sophomore year. He does have the size and the frame. He just needs to finesse his games out of the bit. He could easily have one of the best guards seasons in college next year. So the ACC writes, not the pinnacle of guard play right now, but Kalen Rutledge is a damn good player at Georgia Tech, and Inez Cooper could potentially be the best of all these guards there. So it's going to take a little bit of a wing and a prayer with these guys, but Kalen Rutledge, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, these guys, like I say, projects with very bright futures on teams that they've got big expectations. These two players, like I say, they're going to get lots of conference love this year. Two teams, like I say, that want to run the ball, like I say, and have also got high price quarterbacks box. So these two are going to be very interesting. They're going to be very important to what they're both trying to do going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Very intrigued by these two. Moving on to the Big 12 now. We've got Omar Aigbedion of Baylor and Xavier Hill of Colorado, and you are probably going to know one of these guys, right? So Aigbedion, 6'3", 310 pounds. He was a 2 year starter at the Montana State Bobcats. 1 year at Baylor. He was basically the predecessor to Marcus Vare, who got drafted last year. 1,826 snaps at right guard. He is an elite run blocking guard who basically destroyed everything put in front of him in the FCS. He then transfers to Baylor. He immediately becomes the best graded all round blocker on that Power Four offensive line. He only gave up 1 sack and 8 total pressures in his debut Power Four season, and he was the best run blocker on the team. There are big things expected of Baylor this year, so the spotlight is really going to shine on his senior year coming up to the draft if he is given the opportunity. And then Xavier Hill at Colorado, he's 6'4", 318 pounds, couple of big guys here. He spent 3 years at LSU, didn't work out there, 2 years at Memphis, and then he's just transferred to Colorado this year. He has 365 snaps at left tackle, 742 at left guard, 955 at right tackle. He was first team All AAC in 2024. He was playing left guard for Memphis, but there were injuries, so they moved him to right tackle, right to the other side of the line. He dominated at both positions. He graded 81 as a run blocker, 86 as a pass protector, one of the most dominant offensive linemen in the group of five last year. I think the plan is to put him next to Jordan Seaton on the left of that Colorado offensive line this year, and those two are going to present a very scary threat and give nightmares to a lot of defensive linemen throughout the Big 12 next year. These are two guys who've proved themselves at lower levels. Egbedion, right? I bet you've seen him play. Like you thought Marcus Veer was a monster. Makes him look like a teddy bear. But then you got Xavier Hill coming up playing next to Jordan Seaton here. Two potentially massive years for these guys and their draft stock.
Yeah, these are two interesting guys because you've got a guy that's a relative young buck, and then you've got like say Father Time and Xavier Hill. Like say, Igbedion's come up and like say, even though he's like say just fresh from the FCS, no one's can able to steal his lunch money. And then Hill, reliable, Mr. Dependent, complete all positions when needed to, gets to go up against like say help a guy like John Seaton get the best out of him. And those two could form a pretty formidable pair on the side of that line. And then Baylor's run game as well. He's going to be one of the best in the country this year, and it's no doubt that Omar will be a large part of that. So these two will be a prominent pair in the country. I like the picks that Phil's.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels like he's gone a little bit off piste for this, but like those are the picks like we'd make, I think, if we were to do it. So I do really like his pairing there. These are going to be a really good pairing. The SEC, a little bit different here. So we've got Fernando Carmona from Arkansas. He's 6'5", 325 pounds. He is a 3-year starting left tackle, two for San Jose State, one for Arkansas. He had a standout all-round sophomore year for the Spartans that got him the move to the SEC. And whilst the grades didn't like blow anyone away last year, he had a pretty steady first season in the SEC, which is to be expected when you're moving up such a level of competition and you're playing on the blind side. But he is expected to kick inside to guard this year. They've brought in Corey Robinson from Georgia Tech, who was a big acquisition for them. But this is going to allow Carmona first to showcase his versatility, and then hopefully you'll get a higher quality of play out of him. Now he is SEC experienced and knows what he's doing. He's got a really high ceiling, could well be a coveted draft pick next year. And then you've got Caden Green at Missouri, 6'5", 320 pounds. He's both big guys, probably the biggest pairing of the lot. He had 1 year at Oklahoma, 1 year at Missouri. Now, this is a very tantalizing draft prospect. He's already amassed nearly 1,500 snaps in college. He's barely 20 years old. Pretty much all of it has come at left guard. He's always been great in pass protection with that big hulking dominant frame he's got. He's given up just 2 sacks in 711 pass protection snaps as a freshman and a sophomore. He's very young. He's thriving in this Missouri wide zone run scheme with his athleticism, his footwork is top notch. And with this build, there is talk that he might get kicked outside to tackle as well, which offers very sweet temptations for an NFL team with a very seasoned guard with a tackle's body. And this wide zone scheme allows him to get out in space and show what he can do as a tackle, although he is expected to stay as a left guard for Missouri this season. But a tale of opposites here. We've got a tackle kicking inside, a guard who could potentially kick outside, but we've seen what Missouri did last year with their first round pick, Armand Membu. This guy's getting comparisons to that because they're going to move him around, but two very, very experienced guys here who know what they're doing, and potentially, again, this could be the best guard pairing out of the two of them just because of the experience alone.
Yeah, like they're playing in the SEC. Like it's a gauntlet just in practice against their own guys, let alone the other. Carmona's finding his feet in the SEC and at a new position, just bedding himself in after a first year, giving him a taste of what's required. And then Caden Green, he's already got the draft chatter on it. The buzz is already there. He just needs to prove that he can do it back to back and keep it consistent, and he won't have to worry about the draft stock. These two. yeah, these two will have big years, and then, like I say, once their cycles come around, we will be talking about them again in futures when we're probably profiling at the next level. So, yeah, these two, sky's the limit for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing those two this year. And then the Big Ten, we'll finish it off with. We got Emmanuel Prignon from Oregon. He's 6'5", 320 pounds, 3 years at Wyoming, two at USC. This is his first at Oregon. He's a sixth-year guy, a little older. Unbelievable rise through the ranks. He did not see a snap his first 2 years at Wyoming. Then, as a redshirt sophomore, he took the right guard spot, completely dominated on that Cowboys line in 21. It was hit the portal, got the huge move to USC, which is a big step up, immediately took over their left guard spot, and he didn't give up that spot at all in his 2 year tenure then. He hit the portal at the end of last season as the number one interior offensive lineman prospect in the portal in the entire nation, and he made a judgment call to transfer to a team that may well see playoff action this year to put himself in the national spotlight for scouts and with Oregon's elite O-line coaching to finish off his game. He has not given up a sack since December 2022, and that was a bowl game. He has never given up a sack to FBS opposition in a regular season game in his entire career. 1,655 snaps at left guard, 634 at right guard, so he is positionally versatile as well. If we see a jump in the run blocking this year, he could be in contention for OG1 in next year's draft. So the only two sacks he gave up were a bowl game and an FCS team got one on him. And then we've got Oliva Vega Ioane from Penn State, 6'4", 330 pounds, 3 years at Penn State, 1,314 snaps at left guard. He's got 313 at right guard, but he has registered snaps at every position on the offensive line. And Penn State have these crazy packages where they put him in motion and use him as a 330-pound missile to apparently kill particular defenders they don't like. Remember when Ben Johnson got that big hard on of putting Penei Sewell into motion and using him like that? That is what Penn State do with Ioane. They may well have picked it up off the Lions because it wasn't until that started happening that they started doing it with him. There was this one play against UCLA where he's pulling across from the left. He pancaked the same player 3 times on the same play because the guy kept trying to get up and he just kept burying him back in the ground because of all his momentum. A very solid redshirt sophomore season. Didn't give up a single sack in pass pro last year. And of course, he's helped block for this prolific duo of Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton that have ran for 6,000 yards over the last 3 years. He's an absolute unit that can shift, and if he keeps up the natural progressions, he is slated to have an elite season on a team that is ranked number one in the country by a lot of experts and is expected to make a run at the playoffs. And keeping Drew Aller, a lot of eyes are going to be on him doing that there. But, again, Big Ten, it's offensive linemen. It loves them. Pregnon, Vega, like, these are the two when you look and you think, yeah, they could be special as well.
Yeah, we're at the upper echelons now of players on big teams with strong run games, but these two are just, yeah, these two since entering and padding up have kind of just chewed guys out and chewed them up and spat them out. Like they are bullies. They have the experience already. They've already got the pedigree. They're just ruthless. They're just mean. They're kind of guys that head coaches salivate over. They feel so young, but they've got an incredible amount of snap counts between them already. And they're already like, yeah, they're already on like draft boards. They're already being circled and they're already potentially destined to go very high in the future. So these two are just, they're on a collision course with the NFL. It's just inevitable. It's just going to be what they can achieve between now and then with their respective colleges.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what a kick in the face for USC, losing one of their premier offensive linemen to Oregon, basically in the same conference, and then they've just, because he believes that they're going to do better for his career. Massive slap in the face for them. Right, we've got the list back up, so we need to rank the guards here. And probably I feel safe in saying the ACC is going to come last here with Rutledge and Cooper, just because Cooper's not had that down year last year and not as good as it could be. There's a lot of potential, but not compared to the other groups. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the ACC taking fourth there. There's a lot of purple and yellow on the left-hand side of this. Hopefully, defensively this starts to change around a little bit. Now, after this is very interesting
Can you make a case to
because,
say the Big 12 is second?
see, I was about to say the same thing because obviously Carmona's been very good, Caden Green has been very good, but I don't know. This is me. I'm assuming it's the same with you. I've just got a feeling, like especially Egbedion, like he could just be an absolute
Yeah. The
monster
Colorado line
this
will get
year.
better as well.
And Hill and Seaton together as a pairing, I think,
Yeah,
like that
Jordan
left-hand
Seaton was
side.
much better last year.
Hmm. So having and plus he's versatile. Xavier Hill's played right tackle
Yeah,
as well as left guard, so you've got the versatility there. Now Carmona's obviously shifting inside. You don't know what he's going to be like at guard. He's never played there. And then Caden Green is obviously good, but when you've got marks over one, I'm happy to put the SEC pair in third if you are.
yeah,
All right, let's do that. I'm surprised how well the Big Ten's doing here. I think their defense is going to take a shot this year. Then we're going to put the Big Ten pair in second.
Big 12.
Big 12, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Big 12. We go to Big 12 second. I'm going to put the Big Ten
Yeah,
first.
it's not even close. The Big 10 is cakewalking it. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
really good.
I agree with you
Yes.
there. So, yep, we're doing pretty good. And then let's finish off with the tackles to finish off the offense. Who do we have on here? What the hell? There we go. So the ACC, we have Blake Miller of Clemson and Brian Parker the second of Duke. Big 12, we've got Spencer Farno from Utah and Howard Simpson of Texas Tech. The SEC, we've got Caden Proctor of Alabama and Trey Zune of Texas A&M. And then the Big 10, we've got Gennings Dunker of Iowa and Isaiah Wild of Oregon. And I already know this is going to be incredibly tough for me. So again, you've seen the names there. We're just going to stop sharing the screen a moment as I get my notes and we're going to go through this. ACC Blake Miller of Clemson, 6'6", 315 pounds. He is the ultimate Iron Man. Miller has been Clemson's starting right tackle since the day he arrived on campus. He is the first player to play every single game of his freshman, sophomore, and junior years since Cleveland Ferrell did between 2016 and 2018. Hopefully, he does better in the NFL than him. And he's the first offensive lineman to play every game of his first 3 years without using a red shirt since their center, Ralph Jenkins, who did that in 1943 to 1945. So he is the first offensive lineman since the war to play his first full 3 seasons uninterrupted. 2,887 snaps, and he is barely 21 years old. He has 41 starts behind him. He gave up just one sack last season. He was penalised just once. His numbers have been steadily above average all his career, and he's still got a ton of room to grow, which is a really scary prospect here. Clemson are looking to make a run at the Natty this year. He is going to be put under immense pressure. The only sack he gave up last year was against Texas in the playoffs, but he's got the platform to sell himself as a high round one pick here. And then you've got Brian Parker the second at Duke. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. 3 years at Duke, he is an elite pass protector who has played both tackle positions, but he's found his home at right tackle. 1,052 snaps at right tackle, 379 at left tackle. He's got 20 starts and but 28 games altogether. He's PFF's ninth best returning tackle in the nation, and he is the best returning pass blocker in the nation. His knockdown rates and pressure rates allowed are both top 15 nationally as well. This is a guy who just overwhelms edges with his physicality, and when he gets his hands on you, it's good night, Irene. The run blocking has steadily improved. If he takes a bigger leap with that this year, then the draft is also going to call him sooner rather than later. The ACC right here really fronting a pair of absolute studs, no more so than Brian Miller, like a name forgotten about on this Clemson team because of how many great draft prospects there are this year. But you just don't see guys like this who are this durable.
Yeah, the SEC has struggled up to now, but this is where, yeah, they get good. Blake Miller has got, it's the perfect resume in it. He's an Iron Man. Like I said, the CV today is just flawless. And then Brian Parker, I mean, yeah, he's just an outstanding, incredible, versatile guy that has, like I say, just been at the top of his game for a long time and been an integral part of a Blue Devils team that's got a lot better. over the last few years. And there's no doubt, there's no surprise about that when you've got guys like Brian Parker anchoring important positions. Two
Yeah.
teams that will be competing for the ACC and those playoff spots. No, I think.
Yeah, and I say it's no coincidence that that Duke team has been better these last few years because of players like him. That offensive line finally getting its act together. The Big 12 putting forward some heavy hitters as well. Spencer Farno from Utah, 6'6", 302 pounds. He's only a third year player this year. He spent 2 years at Utah. I say might be, he probably is the best road mauling run blocker in the entirety of college football. Full stop. It's no joke when we say he's got the feet and athletic movement of a 180-pound corner, except he's bringing a 6'6", 300+ pound body with him. He is violence personified. Think Talisi Fuanga from a year or two ago, except he's a lot more fluid, bit more athletic and more dangerous, which is scary because Talisi Fuanga went very high in the draft. He played his true freshman year at left tackle. He played his true sophomore year at right tackle, so already possesses natural versatility. And again, he's not even scratching the surface of what he could be. He's getting better every year in pass protection. Only gave up one sack last year, which was in a very horrible first game against Southern Utah. They were responsible for about half the pressures he gave up all of last season. I don't know what happened there. He only gave up one further quarterback hit all season after that. He's a slam dunk first round pick if he carries on developing at the rate he is. He's potentially a top five pick. He'll be a younger underclassman if it is this year, so the age is a massive bonus for teams as well. And then you've got the real wild card, which can make or break how high these are ranked. Howard Sampson from Texas Tech, 6'8", 340 pounds. He spent 2 years at North Texas, 1 year at UNC. This is his first year at Texas Tech. This absolute behemoth of a man that the cash-rich Red Raiders have splashed out on to revamp their protection for Behren Morton this season. He's only a 1 year starter. He never played at North Texas. He only graded at 70 last year for UNC, but for an absolute giant who's playing for the first time at the most important O-line position, despite having a lot of issues that these taller guys have to deal with in both pass pro and run protection, he acquitted himself pretty well. It is clear to see what they expect him to become. Like at 6'8", just this absolute man mountain of a run mauler who's going to be a monster, who's going to have the size and the frame to overwhelm power rushers as well and force speed rushers too far around the bend to put pressure on Morton. But we've not had a chance to see his rate of development as a starter yet because this is only going to be his second year. But like his upside is crazy at that side if they get it right. And Texas Tech have obviously put a lot of money into this, right? I mean, you've got a slam dunk first rounder here, and you've got another potential one depending on what happens with him. The Big 12 are putting forward a strong starting unit here.
Yeah, these two. One, as you say, he's already he's already cashing checks. Like I said, I fully expect him as underclassman. Whatever happens, you need longevity on the line. We need you as young as possible. You strike while the iron's hot. Like I say, he'll have a great year, lock for the first round, and then like I say, Howard Sampson. This is a reward for such hard work. Like I say, smaller schools, bigger team, and now he gets a chance on a Texas Tech team that they have lofty aspirations, and they have proved that with what they're doing on their staff and their portal. And he wants to be a part of it. And if he can bring something to the table, they are a team to watch.
Oh, absolutely they are. I mean, you could have had a case for both Utah tackles to be on here, but I get exactly why he's put this guy on. He's absolutely huge. And again, all eyes are going to be on this team this year. So no better pot to put yourself in the window as potentially one of the best going there. Now moving over to the SEC. Um, Caden Proctor from Alabama, a name you're potentially hearing about as a first round pick. Not entirely sure why just yet, but he's been a 2 year starter at left tackle for the Crimson Tide. Had a really bad 2023. He gave up 12 sacks that year, but it's his first year on the blind side, so they stuck with him. Last year, under the first year of Kalen DeBoer, his PFF grade went from 66 just up to 70. He gave up 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, and 9 hurries. But pressure-wise, he went down from 36 to 15, so he really cleared that up. Not really much of a penalty problem with him either. He's a slightly above average run blocker. He's been decent at pass protection, but we saw with Milrow last year, he had to run around all over the place. He's 6'7", 360 pounds, so another of these big guys who's having to deal with the height issues, which is probably why he struggled so much with his pass protection in the last few years. I mean, he ended last year against Oklahoma, Auburn, and Michigan. He had a bad end to the end. Michigan dominated him in the bowl game, so there's a lot of questions to be answered with him there. Trey Zoon, the third of Texas A&M, he's also 6'7", 315 pounds, the biggest pair of twins we've got in these groups. Spent 4 years at Texas A&M. He's the 3-year left tackle there, but he's had a much better career. He went from 69 to 73 to 75, elite pass blocking protector. He has given up 7 sacks in his career, but just 4 over the last 2 seasons. His run blocking grades have remained steady around the 70 area, not very well penalized, very disciplined, has adapted a lot better. It's just the run blocking he really needs to up himself a little bit here, but we saw a lot of tackles leave last year, right? This doesn't feel like the strongest iteration that the Big Ten has put forward. Obviously, Caden Proctor, people say he can be a first round pick, which he can, and Trey Zoom potentially, but they're both tall guys who are dealing with tall guy issues and both need a lot of refinement before we talk heavy about them.
Proctor needs more of that for me. I'm not sold on him at all. He needs to convince me that he even belongs in a Crimson Tide O line. This is the SEC. Like, this is the Tide that send X amount of guys from their line to the NFL right now. Which Proctor, I ain't seen it. Like I say, he's not clicked. So it's a big year for him just to prove to me that he belongs in the conference, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, like I say, Trey, yeah, at least he's got some longevity. He's probably been more consistent over his year on A&M. There's another one that's a team that's built for its trenches. Like I
Yeah.
say, the guy they look to. They've had up and down years throughout his times there, but he's a fairly constant figure that will just bring some sort of consistency to the line. But yeah, it's a weak all year for the SEC, especially these two names. They don't fill me with confidence.
Yeah, yeah. It is tough, But again, I think they lost a lot of good tackles last year, so sometimes it happens. But yeah, I'm not sold on these two just yet either. I like Trey Zoom more. Caden Proctor has a lot of questions to answer because that line's just got to be better this year. Same with Milrow. You've got to protect not Julian Sin. You've got to protect whoever gets that job this year. I still don't think they've decided. So we will see. And then we're finishing off with the Big Ten. We've got Gennings Dunker of Iowa and Isaiah World of Oregon. And I'm going to low-key admit that I like this pair. So Gennings Dunker, 6'5", 316 pounds. He's been at Iowa for 3 years. He's been a starter for the last two at right tackle, really took off this year. Had an average first year. He's a better pass protector than he is a run blocker. But then he came to this year. His run blocking grade was 91. It shot through the roof. His pass blocking was at 76. He just gave up 2 sacks on the season. He's turning into a very steady, very reliable guard very quickly for the Hawkeyes. And again, you trust their level of development of guys over. It's been a while since the offensive linemen have had their love here, but Gronowski's there this year, as you well know. He's going to be a much better quarterback. He can run as well. Going to be a chance for Jennings to show that he can be part of the elite, but he's certainly got what he needs. 1,500 snaps in his career as well, and say it's at Iowa. So you don't put these guys down. And then Isaiah World, the top tackle transfer portal target of this offseason. He's coming in from Nevada. He's 6'8" and 309 pounds now. He spent 3 years at Nevada. He was starter every single year. He started off at right tackle as a true freshman, spent the last 2 years at left tackle. It's been tough going again for a guy his height. His BFF grades were 41 and 54 in his first 2 years, but he took a massive jump up last year. It was 70, but his pass blocking especially was up at 83. This is a guy who has discovered his size, his speed is, very difficult to beat as an edge rusher. And against both types in the Mountain West, a lot of guys he came up against who he silenced. Boise State, our own Ahmed Hassanin, he gave up one hurry in that game, and that was it. And he was facing off him the entire game. So he's good against good level opposition. Played against Oregon State, didn't give up a single pressure against them. Power 5 opposition, didn't give up a single pressure against Minnesota, who had 2 drafted edges last year. Didn't give up a single pressure against SMU, who had one of the most devastating defensive lines in all of college football last year. I mean, this was a Oregon have played the transfer portal so well this year, right? They've brought in so many good guys, but World figures to be good right off the bat. His run grades aren't the best, but he's been at Nevada, who've just not been able to run the ball to save their lives. That's not really his fault. He's turned into an elite pass protector, and he's gonna have the biggest stage and the best coaches to mold him out now. And getting Stunker, I think, is vastly underrated. The Big Ten, they have a way with their tackles.
Yeah, these are a good pair. And the fact that they're part of going to be what's probably such solid units. Obviously, Dunker, as you mentioned now, we're going to see what Dunker's like running because, yeah, Mark Gronowski is going to run. This is the most mobile quarterback they've had in recent years after like Spencer and Cade McNamara, which is blech.
Hmm.
Because, like I say, he's going to take off. He's going to want to throw on the run. So he's really going to test how athletic this offensive lineman are. Yeah, it's Isaiah World duck to water, like I say, a big step up from Nevada, but I fully expect him to be competent, like I say, form part of a potential formidable offensive line. He was a great addition. And they to go get him, like I say, out of Nevada, they clearly see plenty from him. And I think he should make part of an incredible unit.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. So we've got the screen up again. These are the four pairings here. And I think I'm quite happy to say the SEC is dead last this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, we're going to put the SEC dead last. You are not getting away with that. Sorry, guys. Not good enough there. Now it comes down to how much of a pull is Howard Sampson for the Big 12 against Spencer Farno? Because Farno's better than anything the Big 10 is providing, but Gennings Dunker's a very good right tackle, and Isaiah World has the potential to be really good. Howard Sampson does have a year at the Power Five level moving in. I think this is very close. I feel like Farno just puts it slightly in the Big 12's favor, but I am happy to be corrected here.
I think we vastly disagree because, like I said, I wasn't thinking about that at all. I
Oh
have the Big
God,
12 first.
you have who first?
I have the Big 12 at one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to have it. So are we putting the Big 10 at three then? I think we can agree on that potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I like that pair. I think that's good. There's something about these others that call to me, and it's our show, so we can do what we want. They're in there. So we're having a conversation here. So Blake Miller versus Spencer Farno. I'm assuming you're taking Farno over Miller, skill wise. Sampson, that's a big one. That's a big investment of trust in him.
I think I'm buying into the hype.
Hmm.
I've been rising through the ranks. And I'm also, yeah, I'm looking at where he's going
All right.
to do.
Yeah. Brian.
Even though
Okay.
Parker has probably been more consistent and probably better throughout his whole career right now, I look at the ceiling.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll buy that.
I'm going to say this is where the Big 12 and the ACC have come into their own for the first time.
Yeah, okay. I think you can interchange them, but yeah, I'll go for the Big 12 here. I mean, like Texas Tech seem to have recruited very well, so we will see with that. But a win for the Big 12, much needed there. Right, we're on to the defense now. We need to get a move on 'cause we've been doing this for a while. Don't want to keep you all forever. So, defensive ends from all four. When we've got a minute, here we go. Now, this is going to be tough. So I'm just saying the ACC putting forward TJ Parker from Clemson and Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami of Florida. Big 12 is putting forward David Bailey of Texas Tech and Jamori Robinson of West Virginia. The SEC is putting forward Colin Simmons of Texas and Dylan Stewart of South Carolina. And the Big 10 is putting forward Mikhail Kamara of Indiana and Gabe Jacobs of Illinois. So let's dive down into their notes here. Bear with me. Defensive end, ACC. I mean, legitimately an argument for the best pairing here. DJ Parker, 6'3", 265 pounds, 2 years at Clemson. Potentially the best edge rusher in football. 18 sacks, 18 QB hits, 6 forced fumbles, 75 tackles, 32 tackles for loss, sub 15% missed tackle rate in just 2 years. He broke the Clemson school record for most tackles for loss by a true freshman, and he broke the overall school record for most forced fumbles in a season at all. He had all six last year. He's a pure speed demon with unbelievable athletic traits and a growing number of pass rush moves. He is Mr. Disruption, and he could be a potential number one pick going forward. And then Ruben Bain Jr. at Miami, 6'3", 275 pounds, 2 years at Miami. The true freshman sensation took the college world by storm in 2023. Injury disrupted the start of his 2024, but you could start to see him reemerge as the season came to a close. He is a tremendous run blocking edge. He uses every bit of that 275-pound frame to be an immovable object, which just doesn't allow rushing lanes to open up on his watch on his side of the line. He's got 13 sacks to his names as well, and though the pass rush weapons don't include bend around the edge, that's not in his arsenal. The way he sets up his pass rushers mitigates that. He's incredibly clever. You can see him sizing up his opponents. He's got a genuine pass rush plan for all comers, works out the weaknesses, and then strikes. He plays like a long tenured veteran when it comes to the pass rush plan. That's a great weapon to have. He does a little bit of tweener work as well, so you can utilize him as a five tech in a three-man front as well as his edge duties, so NFL teams will like that. If you can avoid the injury bug again and hit the season fully running, though, we are potentially going to see one hell of a true junior season for him. The ACC's really bringing out the big guns now, right? These could be the best pair in the country. There is a big legitimate argument for these two. They are absolutely fantastic, and they are both just third years with the world at their feet.
Yeah, these two are going to tear it up on the biggest games of the national stages this year. Both of them will have their names called very early whenever they do decide to go to the next level. But right now, they're two of the most premier, well-rounded edge outside linebackers in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They are moving into the Big 12, and we've got David Bailey from Stanford now. We've done a little bit on him already, the big Stanford transfer coming over this season. He spent 3 years there. Only 15 sacks, but he broke out last year. 7 sacks, 6 QB hits, five forced fumbles, which is just crazy. A whole bunch of run stops. His run grades are probably the one thing that's let him down, but he's been on a pretty bad team there. But he's a star pickup by this team. 6'3", 250. He's got the perfect frame to be whatever you want him to be. And then you've got his running mate, Jamori Robinson from West Virginia. This is interesting. 6'4", 294 pounds. He's basically three hundo. Spent 2 years in JUCO, spent 4 years at UTSA. He's now a seventh year senior who has blown up in his last couple of seasons. He's got 14 sacks, nine of which came in 2024, and he's mixing that with what is obviously a very good run defense at nearly 300 pounds. He's a run defense specialist. He's taking one swing at the big time to try and force his way into draft talk, but he's coming from a system that has sent a steady line of talent from the DN spot into the Power Four in recent years, not more so than Trey Moore, who came up and made it look silly. So technically, he's ready to go. Rich Rodriguez, known for his trench warfare. Robinson's going to be a key cog in year one of his regime here. Two transfers in, but you wouldn't bet against the UTSA edge, even if it's a seventh year. A 300-pound edge who can get 9 sacks in a season and run defend at his level could be great. And Bailey could have a superstar year at Texas Tech as they cash in on all the money they've spent on him.
Yeah, Bailey's prime to break out. Everyone wanted him. Like I say, he's going to be a high earner. He'll back it up very quickly. He's going to make his force felt. And then, yeah, Jamal Robinson, been around the block a while, but like I say he's going to be crucial to the Mountaineers. He brings in just experience. He can help the other guys round him. Like I say, he'll chip in with some sacks. He'll do the dirty work. He'll do everything that's asked of him. He's going to be the ultimate team player. And like I said, Rich Rodriguez, going back to his old roots, needs some dependable guys that he can rely on for a team that has been treading water.
Mm.
He wants to try help fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. SEC. Colin Simmons of Texas and Dylan Stewart of South Carolina. I mean, do we need to say anything about these two? Two of the most dominant true freshman years we've seen in years. Both have the potential to be number one overall picks. I mean, we could go down into the nitty-gritty games. Everybody knows Colin Simmons. Everybody knows Dylan Stewart. Like, Christ alive, the ceiling these two have, we could be looking at numbers one and two in a future draft in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, you're looking at two defensive. You're looking at the only two defensive players in the country that could win the Heisman, in my opinion.
Mm, yeah,
That good.
especially if Simmons somehow does better than he did last year. Like, don't need to say like that's all you need to say about them really. And then the Big Ten, you've got the workman here, Mikhail Kamara. You know the name if you've watched his podcast because I adore him more than anything. 6'1", 265 pounds, 3 years at James Madison. He was a rising star there, followed Kurt Signetti to Indiana last year and broke out in the biggest way possible. 68 quarterback pressures, including 10 sacks, 18 quarterback hits, 14 and a half tackles for loss, two forced fumbles, and a huge bunch of tackles as he became a game-changing presence on that Hoosiers line. He's always been a plus level run defender with that frame. He's got an explosive first step off the line. He's got violent multi-techniqued hands that just overwhelm his opponent, and he possesses the bend and pass rush arsenal he's going to need to overcome his size concerns in the NFL. I have zero concerns about his size at all. Indiana are no longer overlooked underdogs this year, though. Teams know about them, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this favorite label more often now that teams are going to put more on him because they've lost a couple of bits on that line this year as well. And then you've got Gabe Jacobs at Illinois, and Michigan fans will know all about him. He's 6'3", 275 pounds, 3 years at Illinois. He's been starting there since he was a true freshman. He's got nearly 1,800 snaps under his belt. He's been getting trained as one of these more modern hybrid outside linebacker edge combo players. He's a lot of three-man front at Illinois. So he spent a lot of time learning the game, and in these cases, the stats don't necessarily show the whole story because of the amount of learning he's doing. But he's a Feldman's freak, or was, so the athletic ability is undeniable. He's a champion state wrestler with great understanding of hand placement techniques and grappling. And in patches, he's shown the sheer potential he has. So in the game against Michigan last year, he had 3 sacks and a forced fumble. They played against Michigan State. He had 2 sacks, two quarterback hits. So, if he played a Michigan team every week last year, he'd be a first round draft pick at this point. Year 4 now for him is about translating all this learning into a finished product, looking comfortable with his hybrid role at both positions, can execute it all to a high level. And again, on a team in Illinois who's a dark horse to win the Big Ten this year. So he has a great year. That makes it a lot easier for them. But he does that. He's got the highest ceiling of any product coming out of this Illini system at the minute, and there's quite a few of them. This is Big Ten, I think it's fair to say the workmen live here. Like, these are the underappreciated ones, the ones who won't get a lot of love, but they're both incredibly talented and probably should, but they're just not household names like the SEC guys.
No, if they played on SEC schools and did what they've done, everyone would be talking about them. They're just products of their environment that people don't they don't care. They're not sexy teams. They're not big teams, so they ain't going to pay any attention. And unfortunately, like I said, some people will overlook them in the draft purely because of that as well, and hopefully they end up paying for that mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot say how much I love Mikael Camara, but Gabe Jacobs, watch his game tape against Michigan. It's really, really fun. Right. Let me get this sheet back up again. We are getting through this, so let's share this all so you can all see. So we got to rank these things out. So I think I'm happy to say that the Big 12 will come fourth here. I love David Bailey, but Jamori Robinson, seventh year senior, first time in the Power Four. Feel like that just brings him down a little bit. And on his own, I don't think he's got enough star power to overpower the Big 10, but again, I will hear arguments.
No, Big 12 last. Bailey could disappoint. Bailey could be a
Hmm.
cash.
Yeah, agreed. He could be. So we'll put that there. And then I'm assuming we're going to go Big Ten third.
Yeah, I think that's a credible third for them.
I think that's very fair. And I think that's us appreciating them. Right. Now we've got a big choice here, right? And I say this because the ACC pair are third years and they've done it over 2 years. The SEC have done it over true freshman years. Gotta show they can get through the sophomore slump with them. I think all of them are potential top 10 draft picks. Like literally every single one of these guys. I feel like TJ Parker has the same star power as one of these two. It's all about Ruben Bain against one of the others, but Bain has the run blocking. We've got to see what Simmons and Stewart do in the sophomore years and whether the run blocking game comes on. I mean, give me your thoughts. I'm at a loss here.
I mean, yes, you can make a strong case to put the ACC first purely because they've got longevity and they are Simmons, Stewart. Could one of them be a flash in the pan? Could one of them have a down year?
Hmm, exactly. And
I
and the th
think TJ Parker and Rumba, I think they've just earned the right to be respected.
like I want to see Dylan Stewart do it against the run game like this year. Like you've had your big year, you've got to do it in your soft. And again, lots of it. How much of that defense from South Carolina's gone this year? You're the man this year. Your whole defensive line is gone. You're bedding in three new guys, so I want to see you do it as a one. So we're going to say SEC two, although
Yep, I'm happy with that, yeah.
it feels terrible because these are two potential number one picks.
Well,
But
it's on them to prove us wrong.
yeah, but I think TJ Parker and Ruben Bain are both great in their own rights.
The
I
ACC won.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
ACC on top.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, we'll move it on to the defensive side of the ball. Just four groups to go now, so shouldn't take too much longer. Defensive tackles. We love our defensive tackles. What groups are we putting forward here? So the ACC putting forward Jordan Vandenberg of Georgia Tech and Peter Woods of Clemson. The Big 12, Dominique Orange of Iowa State and Lee Hunter of Texas Tech. The SEC is putting forward Kristen Miller of Georgia and Caleb Banks of Florida. And the Big Ten, Aaron Graves of Iowa and Zane Durant of Penn State. So that is the four groups there. I'll just stop sharing so I can get to my notes again. I'm really, really torn with some of these. So the ACC Vandenberg from Georgia Tech, he's 6'3", 305 pounds. He was a one-year JUCO sensation, got a massive move to Penn State, played for 3 seasons in rotation, played in 28 games, but never got a starting gig, so went to Georgia Tech to find that opportunity. He played in every game. He was starter in 7 of the last 8. He's primarily a disruptive run blocker, but 13 quarterback pressures show some untapped potential as a pass rusher. He's just not had that much starting time to develop his game, but he is undeniably talented, primed to have a big role on this Georgia Tech team, which is getting better. And again, real expectations this year. So Vandenberg is one of those who could really come out of nowhere, and he's obviously got the talent behind him. And then we got Peter Woods. I mean, 6'3", 315. He's rare, generational talent who has lived up to his billing. So his athletic profile meshes with exceptional instinct, controlled violence in his play, positional versatility. He can genuinely play from the three tech all the way out to the edge with no drop off in performance. It's incredibly difficult to keep him quiet because he just throws something new at you every single play. The technical skills are elite, the arsenal of counters is deep, and he's just getting better with every snap that he plays. In my view, hot take, in 3 years, he's already going to be one of the premier defensive tackles in the NFL, barring injury. I mean, superstar, potential superstar, but Peter Woods on his own carries an absolute ton of weight here. We're talking the best DT in the class this year. We're talking a potential all-pro in the NFL, maybe more than that.
Yeah. Peter is incredibly polished, but what a young man is. He is yeah, he's a superstar. And I have no doubt whatsoever that he will not make an impact as a rookie in the next league. I say he's already, it just feels like he's already a force to reckon with. John's a late bloomer, but with a big upside. Like I say, nobody will talk about him. Nobody will really know who he is because he's bounced around and been a rotational guy. This year, probably I'd make the most of it as last year. He's got the chance to lock down a starting job, hopefully put himself to a good year and go out on a high.
Absolutely. A lot of potential in that too there. The next pair, this is going to be my most emotional vote for this one here, but Dominique Orange out of Iowa State, 6'4", 325 pounds. 3 years at Iowa State. He's racked up over 1,000 snaps at defensive tackle. He's a big man in the center of that line who is there to first stop the run first and foremost, which he does well. He's got great tackling technique. He had just a 7% missed tackle rate in 2024. He's very clean and very polished, as Matt Campbell prospects are. He's an emerging pass rush threat as well, kind of following the Aleem way of things. He's a Feldman's freak, or former one, so again, athletic ability not in question. He just needs to put together a complete campaign and start turning some of these QB pressures into sacks to showcase that part of his game to really grab the attention of draft analysts, exactly like Aleem when he was coming out of NC State. And then one of Ryan's favourite players, Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, 6'4", 325 pounds, 3 years at UCF. First year at Texas Tech, another of the very expensive buy-ins, trying to get the best of the best. One of the premier run defensive talents in all of college football at defensive tackle. So no FBS defensive tackle has more run stops combined than Hunter over the last 2 years. No DT has more tackles for loss, and he ranks second in quarterback pressures in the same time span, despite not not even scratching his potential there. And he's been doing this as the main attraction on the UCF line. He gets a lot of attention on that Knights team. Their edge rushers haven't been good. And now you're putting him on a line with David Bailey, Romello Height, Skylar Gill Howard. Like, who the hell do you block on that line? Hunter's going to have a chance to explode his pass rush numbers this year while plugging that vast hole in the running game that Texas Tech have struggled so much with and what they've brought him in to fix. There is no bigger stage arrive for this guy to announce himself as one of the best ETs in the 2026 draft, and I know you absolutely love him. This is the pair of two. Good luck running on these, because you'll die.
Hunter played with a handbrake on at UCF. It's safe to say that's now off. And on paper, it it's a top three defensive line in the country. It's going to feast. Like I say, this guy is going to go all out, like you say, and he will. Yeah, he's going to announce himself on the stage this year as a name to watch in 2026. He's gonna be really good. And yeah, these two collectively, they do some of the dirtiest work of all the guys we're going to talk about. That's why I like him. I respect them. They are forces to be reckoned with, and they make other guys look better. Other guys around them are not good. Can't be good without guys like these.
No, absolutely not. Like, these are the guys you need on your team first before the flashy players. Um, I know you love Lee. What's Lee's draft height? How far? Because you reckon he'll go this year. 3 years at UCF, a year this year. He's done his 4 years. How high is his ceiling in the draft? Because you feel like it's someone's going to absolutely adore him, especially if he pass rushes the hell out of this year.
Pass rush is out, top 50, top 75.
Mm.
Yeah, the down year pass rush, probably like a day two rotational piece. But yeah, he has the ability to, like, say, have a great year, get to the combine and be like one of those, like, shocks the world and he's at like 31 overall.
Absolutely, he does. SEC next, Kristen Miller of Georgia, 6'4", 305 pounds. 3 years at Georgia. Like so many Bulldogs, he's slowly working his way into the rotation. Played a career high 385 snaps in 2024. He's played 639 overall. Likely going to be the heir apparent to Nazir Stackhouse, that dominating run stopping presence in the middle of the line that sets up everything around it. He graded 84 against the run last year, so it's not like he's developing these skills. Like so many Bulldogs, he's fully trained, he's ready to go. And when he gets his shot, he's going to look like he's been there forever. He had 19 quarterback pressures, but just one sack. So another. It'll be interesting to see if Kirby tries to develop that more this season or just uses him as the run stuffer up the middle. But he's likely going to be the next in a long line of draftable DTs coming out of Athens. Like, the stage is his. And then Caleb Banks, so intriguing. 6'6" and 329 pounds. 2 years at Louisville, 2 years at Florida. Like a lot of the Gator players, he's been lost in the thought on a bad team, but he's consistently been one of the bright sparks here. And with the team now coming to prominence, one will assume he's going to get a lot more deserved love thrown in his direction. And he does have the potential to be something special. You think at 6'6", you think he'd be played like a traditional nose tackle more often than not, like Siaki Ika, big guys like that. But he's frequently used as a very effective three tech, and he's shown pass rush ability you wouldn't really expect from a guy his size. By honing in on the guards and moving himself out, it's creating a lot of confusion on how to deal with him because he's so big at 6'6". The tackles are having to come inside to double team him, which is opening up lanes for the edge rushers on the outside to come in, make plays on the quarterback, and he is a mismatch nightmare. He has got a motor and off the ball speed, again, you would not expect from a guy his size, and this makes him, I say, potentially unique here. There are not many in his mold who play this position to a good degree. Florida, of course, are going to need him to show up big this year, but he consistently has, and again, another who is going to have potentially a playoff berth to shine with a lot more eyes watching on this team. This may be the pair of, developers here, Ryan, that, but like the the talent is undeniable. You just never bet against Georgia and the DTs, and we've seen Florida. We've watched them play a lot. Caleb Banks is potentially very special.
Yeah, credit to Kristen. He's a technical perfectionist. He's another one in the conveyor belt of he's a black hole. He will swallow you up in the middle. Like I said, replacing Stackhouse, no mean feat, but this guy stands a good job of doing it well, and it's such an integral part of the defensive line. He will ward anyone off and make them think twice about coming for the middle. And Caleb Banks, just a freak. He shouldn't be that agile. He shouldn't be that nifty. Shouldn't have those kind of moves that someone like say that height, that weight, built in a lab. Just need to see this year, like say the height there, the talent. We just need to see it turn into production.
Mhm.
Find his best position, learn to use his body. But yeah, Florida, like I say, I'm all aboard the Gator train this year, and he is going to be one of the guys that's going to have to come from the front. He is going to have to go up against the best offensive lines in the country, and he's going to have to win. And I think he's got the tools to do it.
Whoop whoop, all above the Gator train. We certainly are indeed. And then we've got the Big Ten to finish it off. Aaron Graves at Iowa, 6'5", 295 pounds, 3 years at Iowa. He's Iowa born and bred. He committed to the program at the earliest opportunity he could as a four-star recruit, and he never even looked in another direction. He's very old school, so he's versed in the Iowa ways. You prioritize first and foremost the run defensive part of the game to seal up those dominant trenches, but he's starting to show out as a pass rusher in recent years. He's clocked up 43 pressures and 12 sacks, with a further 9 tackles for loss and 3 forced fumbles. The pass rush arsenal is clearly lacking due to late development in the field. He's got a superior bull rush, but needs to expand it a bit. But he's got another full season coming up and noticeable development in his counters, the pass rush techniques. They're going to stand him in real good stead going into draft season. He is the exact epitome of what you would expect an Iowa player to be, and with so many of them thriving in the NFL, that is not a bad thing to say at all. And then you've got Zane Durant at Penn State, who I think is a little bit overrated, but 6'1", 292, 3 years at Penn State, another Feldman's freak. There's quite a few of them on here. It's taken him a while to get going, but 2024 saw the arrival of the much touted 2022 recruit. No defensive tackle amassed more tackles for loss or no gain last year. He showcased that athletic ability in making plays against the run despite his smaller frame. Notched up 4 sacks and 28 QB pressures as he becomes more of a disruptive interior pass rusher, which is a skill he's going to need at the next level at his size. To be a high level draft pick, he's going to need to put together a high level season. And Penn State, as the number one ranked team in the country, are going to need him to do a lot of vital work this year, and they can't afford mediocrity from him. It's kind of a tale of two here, right? Iowa, you trust indefinitely with their defensive tackles, and Aaron Graves looks incredibly good. Zane Durant, for whatever reason, Penn State D tackles don't drink the same Gatorade as the edge rushers. They're always like day three picks, and they never quite seem to hit their potential, while the edges all go first round. And I think we need to see a lot more from him. Kind of just goes to show how many DTs the Big Ten lost this year that maybe is in there. I'm not as enamored with him, but Graves, I think Graves could be special.
I think Graves, yeah, Graves is probably an integral piece to the Hawkeyes. He's a guy that yeah, he just sums up the fundamentals of you must stop the run. You stop the run, the chances to get to the quarterback will eventually open up. And he's taken that on board and worked really hard on his game. And if he does consider himself become more well-rounded in both facets, then he will become pretty highly coveted in the next class as just a depth rotational piece. He will be someone that will definitely get plenty of calls. I think he'll make a good offer. And then yeah, Zane. Yeah, the DTs at Penn State have never really lived up to the hype. They've always kind of been carried by the guys outside. It feels like a year where that's got to change, and they're banking on Zane to be that man to help be that reckoning coming up the middle.
Yeah,
Smaller size, 6'1", 292, so you have to use every bit of that smaller, more pint-sized pocket frame.
yeah, absolutely, he does. So we got the board up again. I'm very happy to put the Big Ten last here. I think against the others, any dissension from that.
No, I think goes last.
So we're going to put them last. That's their first last, though. The Big Ten's done a lot better than I expected them to do. So who are we looking at next? So here for me, this is where we start. I don't know. It depends what you like, I guess. Peter Woods is the elite prospect out of all these. Like, he is head and pedestals above. It's just how far does Vandenberg bring the pairing down, which is not a knock on Vandenberg. It's just we're trying to find overall pairings here. Orange and Hunter are both excellent run blockers and the best run blocking duo, but they don't have the pass threat. Whereas Kristen Miller and Kalen Banks feel like they're the potential guys. I feel like we got really good run blockers, we got two really good potential guys, and then we got one absolutely knockdown prospect with a decent prospect sort of middling them out. I don't know where to go here.
See, I'm not that high on Christian Miller, and Banks has a lot of what ifs.
Yeah, I would say that as well. I'm
Make a
gonna,
case to put them here at three.
yeah, I would
Purely off
put,
their current body of work.
but they could easily be number one by the time the season's done. I think we're going to say they're easily going to be number one, potentially. And then it's just, can the combined of Orange and Hunter overcome Woods? It's tough, right? I think my initial instinct is that the ACC wins this just because of how good Peter Woods is. And again, Jordan Vandenberg, not knocking him. I think he's good enough for the ride. I think Orange and Hunter need to prove themselves a little bit more as pass rushers to get that
Hunter going a new
elite
program
level.
as well. Yeah, I can make a case to say the ACC wins.
Right, so we'll put the Big 12 in second, which I think is fair. And
So the
then
ACC are D-line champions.
they are. I mean, isn't that not a great D line?
Yeah, you just look at that straight away, and look at it as a whole, it makes sense.
Yeah, like Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Ruben Bain Jr., like you're laughing to the bank. Vandenberg just needs to be above average, and then that line's going to be great. Um, 3 units left. Linebackers. I will go through these a little quicker because there's
We got
four of
two firsts
each.
in defensive ends.
You what? Oh,
Have
I've got
we?
two first. Oh shit. Yellow. That's meant to be yellow. Don't know what happened there. Well done. Ryan noticed. Probably someone's noticed in the comments, but there we go. Just keeping you on your toes. Right, we've got linebackers. We got four for each here. So ACC is fronting Kyle Louis, Wade from Pittsburgh, Wade Woodaz from Clemson, Cade Uluave from California, and Sean Brown from NC State. Big 12 putting forward Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, Austin Romaine from Kansas State, Keaton Thomas from Baylor, and Isaiah Glasker from BYU. The SEC's putting forward Anthony Hill from Texas, Deontay Lawson from Alabama, Whit Weeks from LSU, and CJ Allen from Georgia. And then the Big Ten, Aiden Fisher of Indiana, Bryce Betcher from Oregon, Sonny Styles from Ohio State, and Jay Sean Barham from
You making me
Michigan.
see green now or later?
Yeah, yeah, it just there is so much. Someone put it in the
That's an
comments
incredible
earlier.
group.
Someone put it in the comments earlier about how great the linebacker rooms potentially are this year, but like Christ alive, there's two really standout units here, but I like all of them. So
I
again,
like
I
to feel small of them, yeah.
so I'm going to focus on the ACC. Kyle Louis from Pittsburgh. He is one of my favorite players in college football, full stop. 6 foot, 225 pounds. He is Pittsburgh's star linebacker. Not the star, but the actual star. So that is your hybrid linebacker safety position. It is an incredibly demanding position. You've got to be able to play coverage like a corner, but with safety level aggression. He had 4 interceptions and 2 pass breakups last season and forced a fumble in the run game. You've got to be effective against the run from your outside linebacker position in your middle. He graded 86 against the run last year, and you've got to be able to rush the passer. He had 7 sacks and 8 quarterback hits last year, and he did this all in his first season as a starter. He was the first Pittsburgh sophomore since 1978 to get a first team All American nod by a recognized selector. He's special. He's only going to get better as time goes on. Get him added to your draft board now. And then, just for good luck, you got Wade Woodaz next at Clemson. 6'3", 235, 3 years in Clemson. He's been getting groomed to be the leader of that defense since day one. He's taken over that mantle. He plays middle linebacker in Clemson's base 4-2, but like Louis, he himself is utilized as a start-esque linebacker, not an actual one, but ish. So in his first full season as a starter in 24, He had a pick and five breakups in coverage, 77 tackles, three forced fumbles, graded 70 against the run. And with the sheer dominant front four he comes up with, they use him as a blitzer. 22 quarterback pressures, couple of sacks to his name. Clemson are poised to go big this year. Everything is setting up for him to paint his Mona Lisa on the biggest stage, catapult himself into the higher rounds of this draft. Then you've got Cade Oluwave from California, 6'1", 235, 2 years at Cal. He's your more traditional box linebacker first and foremost. Saw significant action in his true freshman year, picked up the Pac-12 True Freshman of the Year award, cemented his starting spot at middle linebacker in 2024. Ignore the PFF numbers with this guy. They don't like him for whatever reason. I don't know why. Middle linebackers take a lot of developing. He is sporting a 22% missed tackle rate, which needs to be slashed, but 4 sacks and 10 tackles for loss show an ability to get in the backfield. 2 forced fumbles, fumble return touchdown, 3 interceptions, and 5 pass breakups. So he's a factor in coverage and turnovers. And the fact remains, despite the excellent secondary Cal have fielded, the defensive line has been nothing short of gross in its duties. That's exposed these Cal linebackers to all sorts of problems which are not their doing. Uluwave is developing nicely. You'd expect to see another all-round jump in his game this season if Cal actually tried to fix that D-line. And then you've got my boy, Sean Brown from NC State, 6', 216, 4 years at NC State. Started out as a safety. He was our starting free safety in his first year. Coaching saw more in his future though. And so in 2024, they converted him to a middle linebacker, which he had been playing in dime packages the year before. He's a born leader. He took a captaincy role in just his second starting season last year. So he had to learn a new position on the field and take the responsibility of leading the defense all at the same time. And it did show in his play. It was a slow burner last year with a lot of difficult adjustment and some below average play. But over the last 5 weeks of the season, you really began to see that vision come together. And there's one good thing we do at NC State. It's our linebackers. We are really good with them. Going into 2025, he's poised to break out in the middle of this Wolfpack defense, both as leader and linebacker, and he's showing potential as another star type as well. 4 sacks, 22 QB pressures last year. He's got the history playing safety, excelling against the run, so he's got the coverage stuff in. His bounce back's going to go hand in hand with the team. I mean, where the hell do you start there, right? You have one of the best young linebackers, star linebackers in the country. You've got the leader of one of the meanest defenses in the entire country. You've got a true freshman who's won All-Americans as a true freshman. You've got a safety linebacker hybrid there. This group is special, man. Pair these four with that front four. Good Lord.
Yeah, an incredibly well-rounded group. All of them feel like they've got position versatility. A lot of them, like say, have got good coverage skills from, like say, playing safety at college or in high school or going through levels. They've all made that transition to the linebacker well. They're all part of very good units or schools that have got a bit of a knack or reputation for producing guys in those positions. So the coaching staff there is very good. And like I said, they've all delivered very early on and they'll all be integral parts to their teams come this year. So as a collective, it's a very interesting bunch.
It is, and there are some seriously exciting playmakers in there. So you'll see a lot of Louis and Woodass this year, and Uluwave, and Brown. So ACC putting forward a strong unit there. Big 12 also putting together a strong unit, and I'm pretty sure every single one of these guys is homegrown as well, which is rare. Jacob Rodriguez of Texas Tech, 6'1", 230. He's a homegrown Red Raider. He is the captain of their defense. He leads by example. 127 tackles last year was the most by a Red Raider since 2001. Created 6 turnovers the last 2 seasons, which ranks, I think, most of any linebacker in the last 2 years. He recorded half a dozen sacks last season as well. They used him to blitz more, and you've got to figure with that front four they're sporting this year, they're probably going to take advantage. He could eat this year blitzing. They've got a lot of big egos imported onto this team this year. So as captain, he is going to be the very crucial factor in this team, making sure this huge financial gamble works for Texas Tech. And he may well get a playoff stage for him to shine on as an individual. This is a boom or bust year for him. but he is a very good linebacker and he's right. But this is where he can make himself elite if he keeps this team together. Austin Romaine from Kansas State, we did talk about him a couple of weeks ago. He is another do-it-all linebacker who's all round the field. He is great when it comes up against the blitz, but he is one of the best linebacker prospects this year. He's been at Kansas State his entire career, so another homegrowner. Keaton Thomas at Baylor. Oh, I was wrong. 6'2", 224. He's a JUCO star from Northeast Mississippi College. Only made his move to the Power Four last season. He had one of the best defensive seasons in Baylor history, and he was among the top defenders in college football. Started all 13 games at inside linebacker. He was a clear, vocal, physical leader, and he played the majority of the season with a cast on. He was hurt, coming up from JUCO to the Power Four, and he was a team captain. One of the best defenders on the team. Finished with 114 tackles, 7 for a loss. His missed tackle rate was 4.5%. 2.5 sacks, 3 QB hits, an interception, returned 35 yards for a touchdown. Just special stuff. And then we've got Isaiah Glasgow at BYU, 6'5", 235. He's another safety turned linebacker who BYU's like a star linebacker. Spent 2 years waiting for his turn, broke out in 2024. 4 sacks as a pass rusher, 3 interceptions, 3 PBUs in coverage. Team's leading tackler from his predominant middle linebacker home. Likely is going to take one of the team captain spots this season and be one of the biggest influences on that BYU defense this year, which is going to need to be good because a lot of teams are going to be coming after them this season. But Glasgow is another of these fantastic duo guys. I mean, just overall, right? This Big 12 group has the potential to be really special this year. Jacob Rodriguez as captain of one of the most intriguing teams there. Keaton Thomas completely blowing expectation out the water and been one of the most intriguing guys you can think of. And Austin Romaine, who we know is going to be a high linebacker pick. And then we've got Isaiah Glasgow coming from BYU, and we know what BU are like with their linebackers. They breed them at home, they create them at home, they create NFL players. Like this Big 12 group is potentially special, and this is the workman-like group here. No one had heard of these guys, but everyone will when this year's done.
Yeah, one of my favorite groups, like I say, we've talked about today. Individually, these guys are just so big to their teams. Like I said, they're well-rounded, just so many turnovers. These are the guys that you look to on those important downs when the game's not going your way. These are kind of guys that will show up in a big way. And they'll also, when things aren't going well, they'll try rally the troops and morale. These guys, all future or current captains, they're all well respected in their locker room. People look to them in times of need, and especially their coaches. So they're just an extension of the coaching fields out on the team, out on the field.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And to see a JUCO prospect come up and just take over a team like that, that's very rare. Playing with a cast on like that is Dan Campbell grit. I think we will absolutely be taking a little look at Keaton Thomas this year. Moving into the SEC, I mean, this just keeps getting better. Anthony Hill at Texas, I mean, he's just one of the, maybe is the best linebacker in college football right now. He's going to be a first round draft pick this year. He plays all over the show. He's just like Colin Simmons, a little buzzsaw that just does absolutely everything you want him to. Whit Weeks, you've talked about him in recent weeks.
First
I
round.
mean, another potential first rounder there. CJ Allen is the captain of that Georgia defense. Like Deontay Lawson is probably the worst of these bunch, and Deontay Lawson is getting first round draft potential as well. I don't really need to go into the nitty gritty with these guys, right? This is bona fide big team production. Texas, Georgia, Bama, LSU. Like I don't know who's the best. Is Whit Weeks the? I guess it's who's the best out of these guys. But I know you're big on the Whit Weeks train.
Yeah, Hill's the best, like I said. But yeah, Whit Weeks, it's because the fact he's just not only he's so young, like I say, he's just coming off a big year. He's picked up the slack of where Harold Perkins has dropped off because of mismanagement. He's now the go-to guy. Like I say, he's doing all this where, yeah, he's just riding a massive wave of momentum. He's going to be one of the best defenders in the country this year. And yeah, he's an every down kind of guy right now, probably like 3 down player, has got the
Mm.
potential to become that 4 down guy. Because like I said, the run, the pass, and pass rush this year. He can do it all, like I say, and he's learning on the fly.
Absolutely. These guys speak for themselves. And then the Big Ten, I mean, this is not even bad. Aiden Fisher from Indiana, I talked about him a couple of weeks ago. One of Signetti's transfers from JMU. He's an elite run defender as a linebacker. He's absolutely fantastic with pass rush upside as well. Like I figure he's going to be one of the breakout stars at linebacker this year in all of college football, not just the Big Ten. I absolutely love him. Sonny Styles. I mean, what more do we say about Sonny
Everything you
Styles,
said
right? We
about
talk
Boston,
about
copy and paste it. He's 6'5", 230.
we talk about stars. He's a safety in a linebacker body. Oh, he's a what is he? Is he a linebacker in a safety's body? He's whatever. He's like if you merged a safety and a linebacker together and made a perfect specimen. Sonny Styles is absolutely tremendous and completely and utterly underrated, I find. Like nobody really talks about him in regards to how some of these other ones are. And then you got Betcher. It is Betcher, is how you pronounce it at Oregon. He had his first starting year last year. Absolutely blew it out of the park in all facets of the game. Run defender, pass block, like pass rusher, tackler, just another one of these stud Oregon defenders there. And then you've got Jace Sean Barham from Michigan. He's a 3-year player at Michigan, not not the creme de la creme of what they've produced in recent years, but you can't deny that there's a lot of talent there with him, but a lot of linebackers have been lost out of the Big 12 this year. And he's an excellent run defender, graded about 88 against the run this year. So you're looking for a great run defensive guy. Then Barham's your one at Michigan. It just feels like after the star-studded lineups we've talked about a great set of linebackers here, and it kind of feels almost disparaging, but these are probably the best run blocking group of the lot rather than the hybridy ones. This is Big Ten football, right? Your linebackers, they hit hard, they hit all the time, they hit for days, they hit you into the next dimension. Like this is Big Ten football.
Yeah, these are your box guys. These are your guys close to line of scrimmage that are your extra man in the box, and they're just formidable. They take the most pain. Let's say they also deal out most of the biggest hits week in, week out. So yeah, these are battle hardened guys where some of the others are a bit flashy and like to stay out of trouble.
Indeed, they do. Right, let's go to the chart and let's get this done. So again, think I'm happy to say that the Big Ten come last here. Any dissension?
Big Ten last year.
Yeah, Big Ten last. Like your Big Ten, but no, there's just so much good talent around here. Then I think we're looking at the Big 12 in third. As much as I like them all, I think they're
Mhm.
very.
I
Oh, are we
have them
gonna?
second.
So who's third for you?
I have the ACC.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, ooh. I mean, I guess this comes down to Uluwave and Brown versus Thomas and Glasgow. Because I think Romaine and Woodhouse cancel each other out. I think Kyle Lewis may be a little better than Jacob Rodriguez. I think Kyle Lewis is very good. Um, ooh, okay. So are we saying the SEC is number one? I
I think
think we're
I have
saying,
preference at offensive tackle, so I think you get preference here.
yeah. So are we saying SEC is number one first
Yeah.
off? I think we're saying that quite like
Yeah.
happily, aren't we? Yeah,
I'm
that's
happy to put the ACC second, though.
yeah. I think Kyle Louis and Wade Woodhouse put it over for second, so I'm going to put them there. And then, although that could change, I think the Big 12 lots are really good. I
This is
think
this is this is a big battle, like say linebackers, ACC and Big 12.
if
It's a tight
if
close position.
if Jacob Rodriguez has a tremendous year at that front, then he becomes a star like Louis and Woodhouse does, and maybe this changes. So, but it's very, very close. You could say you could split them between it. Right, two groups left. Let's get through these. We've been going a while. Corners we've got next, and oh no, not green. We don't want to do green. Let's do black. Chandler Rivers from Duke and Avion Terrell from Clemson representing the ACC. Michael Coates and Jontez Williams representing the Big 12. SEC is represented by Daylon Everett from Georgia and Will Lee from Texas A&M. And the Big 10 is represented by D'Angelo Pons and Xavier Scott. And all I know is straight off the bat, the ACC keeps knocking these defenders out the pocket. Chandler Rivers, hang on, let me just stop sharing this for now. So Chandler Rivers really broke out for Duke last year. He spent 3 years as a starter. He started since a true freshman, graded at 90 last season. His coverage 90, pass rushing 90, 10 QB pressures from his cornerback spot, 2 sacks, 3 hits, but then 3 interceptions, 5 pass breakups in the pass game, only 27 receptions given up on 52 targets. It's just a measly 52% there. 11% missed tackle rate, solidly very found there. And then Avion Terrell, right? I keep saying he is the brother of the other Terrell. He's the
The
brother of
greatest.
AJ. He's AJ's younger brother, and he in himself is a class corner for Clemson. He's been there a few years now. Like this immediately stands out as one of my favorite pairings here. But um, Chandler Rivers is he's special at Duke.
Yeah, he's so experienced. He's been a guy that has been there through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like I say, he's been playing ACC football at a high level for a long time. He's got no love for it throughout most of the years because the Blue Devils have not been good and have never been known for producing, like say, elite level secondary player. And he's finally starting to get the love, like I say, he's very good. And then yeah, another Terrell brother, another great corner, a school known for being one of the DBUs. Like I say, he's held his own really well last year. Like I say, teams went after him. He did very good. These two are an outstanding pair.
Absolutely, and I think they're going to figure quite high into the rankings here. The Big 12. We've got Michael Coach Jr. of West Virginia. He's another transfer in 5'10", 180 pounds. Spent the last 2 years at Nevada, and boy, oh boy, did he break out something crazy last year. 45 tackles, 11 run stops. Gave up just 25 receptions on 56 targets, which is 44%. He had 4 interceptions, 9 pass breakups, a star in the making, and he's now come up to West Virginia where he's going to ply his trade on the Power Four level. And then you've got Jontez Williams, and this is where I have to stop with the Iowa State bias, etc. But he also had a breakout year last year at corner, and again, another great coverage guide. Not much pass rushing. He had one QB hit, 46 tackles, just an 11% missed tackle rate. He gave up 16 receptions on 43 targets, Ryan. 37%. It's got to be one of the lowest rates in the country. 4 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. Now, one is a transfer up, but we've seen Isaiah World go from Nevada to Oregon. We know this is a good team producing good talent. I mean, Jontez Williams, I love him. Two absolute ball hawks here who just lock down in coverage. These are a lockdown pair who are both probably going to have incredibly good years.
Yeah, John Tez, part of a brilliant Cyclones secondary as a whole. But like I say, he's a key piece. He was one of the biggest players they had last year. Credible, like I say, turnover rate. And yeah, he's so physical. The Cyclones love physical guys. Like they used to have TJ Tampa, big dudes, strong dudes, great line of scrimmage. They risk the chance, like I say, getting flags, but they play a hard-nosed brand of football, and he's made himself one of the premier corners right now in the country. Yeah, another guy, yeah, that's stepped up, stepping into big shoes in the Mountaineers, had a very good year at that level. He's a good piece. Let's say there's been a lot of turnover on that side of the ball in recent years. They've struggled for like taking a chance, like guy from a small school, and he had a really good year, and he's going to look to be a prominent kind of guy for one of those teams.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing the pair of them again, especially at my Cyclone. SEC, Dalen Everett from Georgia. He is now going into his third year as starting outside corner for them. 4 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. Not really much in terms of pass rushing. Um, 2 forced fumbles, nearly 100 tackles, sporting a 14% missed tackle rate there. 68% given up on receptions, though, 45 of 66. He is decent in coverage, but he's not the best coverage linebacker out there, having been in this system for 2 years. And then you got Will Lee, the third from Texas A&M. He was at Kansas State his first year, had an absolute monster year, was part of the Elko transfer group last year to Texas A&M. His grades dropped, but he had two interceptions and eight PBUs. He's got four interceptions and 14 PBUs in his career, and he's only going into his junior year this year. A great tackler, just a 9% missed tackle rate from him, couple of forced fumbles, good with his turnovers. He's steady, 6'3", 190, is very good size for a corner there. Definitely the better of the two. But again, not the SEC strongest showing in terms of guys.
No, this feels like a weak year, just a weak pairing. Like I said, they're not bad, but they're also nothing like the SEC's produced in years gone. But I say A&M, I think he's got a chance at a big career. Like I say, he's slowly building momentum. So I feel like this could be the year that he finally locks down, like I say, a big frame that just needs to fill out. Could be a guy that gets a bit of draft extension, like I say, if he can get towards 190, 200, he could be a physical force to be reckoned with going as a pro.
Yeah, absolutely, he can. And then we've got the Big Ten pairing. So we've got Xavier Scott from Illinois. Weirdly enough, I came across a tape of him today. There's a lot of hype behind this guy. Spent 3 years at Illinois, spent the last 2 years as a starter there. He is primarily a slot corner, but he also does play a fair amount on the outside. Got a lot of versatility to him, and he's a ball hawk. 6 interceptions and 12 pass breakups over the last couple of years. They do use him as a blitzer, a few sacks to his name as well. He's got a 6% missed tackle rate over his time there. Illinois teach these DBs tremendously. Great run defender. He's graded at 90 and 85 over the last 2 years against the run and gives up about 54% on the completions against him, which is pretty good as well. And then you got D'Angelo Pons. He's one of my favorite guys, 5'9", 170. It's a smaller guy. Third year, spent his first year at James Madison, blew up as a true freshman, came with Signetti to Indiana. He's been a starter both years, another exceptional run defender, grades at 80. That's in his first 2 years, but his coverage is absolutely tremendous. 62 receptions given up on 126 targets in his first 2 years, his two youngest years, 49%. Five interceptions, 17 pass breakups for him, and for quarterback pressures. They do use him on the late blitzers there as well. I mean, Big Ten. They had the big names at corner last year, which everybody knew about instantly, and everyone was saying with draft prospects. This year, no one knows about these two, but they're incredibly gifted, and they could be just as good as the guys who've gone forward. Again, these are the unheard of pairing, but I really like the pair of them, especially Pons. He may be undersized, but means squat because his technique's so good.
Yeah, they've certainly flown under the radar despite having top level play against some elite wide receivers and some of the best QBs in the country, just because their size and the schools they're at is the only reason they don't have much chatter right now.
Nope, absolutely. It's really these are really interesting pairs. So let's just get these ranked quickly. SEC last.
Yeah.
SEC last. I'm quite on board with that. Not a good pairing for them. Oh, hang on. It's purple. Purple kitty colours, right, Anthony? Now, third. I
I
f-
mean, is it crazy to go out on a limb and say the Big Ten might be first?
no, it's not. I'm thinking the Big 12 is, and I'm going to hate saying this, but I think the Big 12's third because
Yeah, and
Coates
that's
is
not because of John Tez.
no. Coates is a group of five transfer coming up. Again, I like them both. I love John Tez. Hang on, that's the wrong one. Yellow. Now Chandler Rivers and Avion
This
Terrell.
is this is difficult.
My initial instinct is ACC wins this. That is my simply because I think Avion, like Chandler Rivers is tremendous. I think he's absolute ball out on a team that traditionally isn't that good. And Avion Terrell is just playing lights out here. I think Xavier Scott's the weak link. I like him. I just think he is the one who just, it's where it tips a little bit for me. I'm saying ACC first, but it's up to you.
Yeah,
And
I can buy into that. Like I
yeah,
said, the pedigree of the ACC boys is pretty big.
yeah, like D'Angelo Pons is one of my favorite players. But Chandler Rivers is and Terrell, they need their just dues. So Christ, look how the ACC has roared back on the defensive side of the ball. That's where the talent is this year. And we'll finish with the safeties, and we'll do this quick because we've been going 2.5 hours. I didn't think it would take this long, but hell, we like to chat about these guys. Uh, ACC, we've got Terry Moore out of Duke. We've got Isaiah Nwokobia out of SMU. The Big 12, we've got Jeremiah Cooper out of Iowa State and Xavier Alford out of Arizona State. In the SEC, we've got Michael Taff out of Texas and KJ Bolden out of Georgia. And the Big 10, we've got Caleb Downs out of Ohio State and we've got Dylan Tieneman out of Oregon. I'm just going to go ahead and say the ACC is probably screwed in this one. Like,
Harry
um,
Moore is one of my favourite players in the country, but it's just the fact everyone else are up against.
yeah, like Isaiah and Wokobia, I love him. He's tremendous. So Terry Moore is really good, but yeah, sorry, we will go through them at some point. But I'm just going to do this. Been going a while, and this is a no contest. Right now, we get into the meat and bones of it. Xavier Alford, Arizona State. You watch this guy play every week, right?
Like a nickel hybrid kind of defensive back as a safety. He's good. He's had a great year.
And he's probably going to be a draft prospect for them. Jeremiah. As another Iowa State player. These guys just love to get all over the show. Jeremiah Cooper, one of my favorite safeties again. Just these Iowa State DBs, 6 foot, 190 pounds for him. Had a little bit of a down year last year by his standards, which was a bit of a surprise, but he still managed 2 interceptions and 7 PBUs. He's at 7 interceptions and 17 pass breakups over the last 2 years. He's got a missed tackle problem, which he needs to sort out. But outside of that, he's an outstanding young man. Like 54% is the average receptions given up for a safety. That is really good. That is a very good coverage safety. These are probably the two you won't hear about, right? Right. I know Alford's in there, but I think they're very talented. But compared to the other two pairings, you
Yeah,
won't
it's
hear
just
of
against
them.
the other two, unfortunately.
But they're very talented in their own right.
Yeah, will both be drafted. Will be two of the prominent players in their whole conference.
So are we kind of saying they're going to be third in this
Yeah,
one?
the ACC's third.
Yeah. I'm not got the share screen on here because I'm still doing some notes for these, but they're third. Right. This is where the conversation gets tough.
This is hard for me because I feel conflicted.
KJ Bolden is going into his junior year for Georgia now. 5-star plus prospect who has started there since day one. Like, there are so many hot prospects. Like, he came in with so much hype to this program. And he might have over delivered on that hype. He's been that good. Like, he's going to be a first round draft pick, a very high one. And then Michael Taff has done it in this Texas team, right? Like, he's been integral to that passing defense
Michael Taft's one
this
of the best
last
players
year.
in the whole country, I think. He's so underrated and gets no love.
No, no, and I think that's the thing here. But like, if you put these two in a team as your safeties, that's an NFL pairing of safeties right there. Like, they could be an NFL pairing one day. They're that good. But then Caleb Downs is going to be a top 5 pick in a draft potentially, maybe one of the highest drafted safeties in history. He is another 5-star who is just he returns, he gets it. He does everything you want him to. And then Dylan Tyneman, we all remember the true freshman Dylan Tyneman who was better, if anything, than Caleb Downs was. He had the down year last year, but he's at Oregon now. He's going to feast in that team. You've got two of the most talented. I'm guessing they're both. Is Downs in year 4 or is he's in year 3 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they're both true juniors this year, if I remember rightly. So they're all true. Hang on, how old's Taff? Is Taff year 4?
Taft's going into year four. So
The rest of them are all true juniors. Like
it'll
this
be in the
is,
draft. Yeah.
this is probably the hardest decision of them all. I feel like Tyneman and Downs are more of the ball hawks. I feel like KJ Bolton and Michael Taft are.
More
I
well
don't.
rounded.
Yeah, I don't want to say.
Taft's
I
great
don't
against the run. He is a fantastic box safety.
like KJ Bolden's just the entire package for me. I think he is better than Caleb Downs. But they're all still elite. It's it's got to be like Taft versus Tyneman, hasn't it? Because I think Caleb Downs and KJ Bolden are absolute special elite talents, which are
Without
absolutely
that, I
amazing.
take consistency. I take Taft because Tyneman was
Had a down
porous.
year. Yeah, he had the down year, slight, and it wasn't really a down year, but like he could
Like I
go
said, didn't get
absolutely
a single
nuts.
turnover. Like I said, what changed this year? Because Purdue was still bad in his freshman year.
Yeah, was it him or was it the team? But
Yeah.
like we've seen, like Will Held still played well there this year. We've seen a couple of these Purdue players have played well in spite of themselves. So I think with great reluctance, I put 2 points for the Big Ten second. Are we agreed?
Yeah. I think Big Ten seconds fair,
And
yeah.
then Michael Taff and KJ Bolden, the SEC is number one. So now that all this is said, are we happy with what we've done here?
Pretty happy, yeah.
Right, okay, so just give me
There's definitely
some.
some trend. You see some trends when you look at the colours.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to take a minute just to start totting these up, but just maybe give me sort of a bit of an overall summarization here, like the units you
ACC
really
has got really good
like.
defenders.
I mean, best defensive line goes to the ACC, right? Let me just start doing these. So yeah, just give me some overall summations of this whilst I just note down the numbers and we'll see where we're at. The
Big
ACC.
Ten's falling behind in positions in recent years, isn't it? I feel like it lacks, especially on the defensive side of the ball, for a conference that's so run heavy. I feel like their D line, their edge rushers, they are lacking when you look at the other ones, which is interesting because it doesn't feel like that until you compare them to other teams. Big 12, like you say, a mixed bag, but that just procures to how fun the conference is because it's just erratic and chaotic. It's its own little enigma. I don't compare it to the other conferences anyway, and that's why the scores are so all over the place. And the
Uh,
SEC is the SEC. There are a few position groups where we didn't even have to debate it.
no.
But then there are position groups where else I just went, ugh. Like some of them are just like, yeah, I didn't even consider them.
It feels like the SEC was either boom or bust.
Yeah,
Like,
it's either like it's like one or it's four.
yeah, that's what I felt like it was like with them. So, 3, 3, 3. The Big 12 has not done so well. 4, 8, 11, 15, 18, 20, 21, 24, 26 plus 9. It's about 35. So the ACC got 23. The Big 12 got 35. Just going to do the SEC now. So are you surprised the Big 12 came last? Or, I mean, there was a lot of, I mean, you look at the groups which are down there. Um, Obviously, quarterbacks, running backs who lost some tremendous running backs out the Big 12 this year. Tight ends, some good ones left. The defensive ends, like, you look at these, and especially like DBs and that, it just felt like the Big 12 got rinsed a lot in the draft year, and they're almost restarting from scratch in a lot of these positions.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised that they're lingering yet. There's a lot of these guys in this list, like I said, they're first timers, which, like I say, has hampered their score. We do this again in a year, and some of these are still here. They'd probably get a couple of extra points.
Obviously, these can all change as you go along. Oh my Lord, 4, 2, let's see the SEC, 2, 5, 6, 9, 10, 17, 19, 22, 23, 27, 29. So at the minute the ACC is winning, this is going to be crazy if they actually do, but fair play to them if they do. So Big Ten, we've got 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, 4, 4, 2, 2. So we got 3, 4 plus 6 is 10, 11, 14, 17, 21, 25, 29. So our results here, finishing in last, is the Big 12 with 35 skill points overall. Well, 35 points overall. Tie in second and third place. The SEC and the Big Ten both get 29. All right, I'm going to ask the question because we can't leave this in limbo, right? We've got one
The
vote each.
SEC had got more
Which,
first places, so
So we're gonna do it by. It feels like the center. That feels so mean. Like if the center changes, it's looking down at those two teams, SEC and Big Ten. Which one would you pick naturally? Off if you were given the opportunity of these. Hang on, I've done a boo boo here. Why have I got two blues at the Big Ten? The Big Ten we had as one, didn't we? So actually, yeah, people are going to be screaming at me at this here. It's green. So they lose 1 point. So the big, actually, we don't need to do this. Big Ten is second. So SEC has got 29. Big Ten has got 28. And the winner is the ACC with 23, despite having an offense that's true, but look at that defense. Would you not take that defense over anything else? Parker, Bain, Vandenberg, and Woods on your D line. Louis Woodaz, Uluwave Brown, then Chandler Rivers, Avion Terrell, Trey Moore, and Wacobia. You've got Kate Klubnik, you've got Desmond Reed and Isaac Brown. Like, I'd take that team. My only concern would be the interior of the offensive line.
Yeah, it's their only real flaw.
And I've just realized again, I've not been showing. So let me just share the screen to show you the final of it. So this is everything here. This is all the greens, the blues, all that sort of stuff there. So yeah, the ACC wins this. We believe the ACC has the best amount of talent coming out of it this year in terms of the position groups. Now, you could argue that ranking centers and, four linebackers against one center. Yeah, the system ain't perfect, but it is what it is. And it's just a bit of good fun. And hopefully it's introduced you all to a lot of new draft prospects, some of the more famous ones and some of the ones that are more highly thought of. It's been a long old slog, this one, but we appreciate you all for joining with us. I think there's been a very fun little exercise. So yeah, you've got your final chart there. Obviously, you'll be able to, because it's up during the show, if you want to skip to certain position groups, just keep skipping through and you'll see where it is and is not filled into. But yeah, overall, you happy with that?
Yeah, I feel justified. We just need the ACC to send two teams to the playoffs now, and we'll be vindicated.
Absolutely. Yeah, doesn't matter who it is, just send the two guys there. So yeah, thanks ever so much, Ryan. Appreciate it. You can find us next shows. We're back with the main Royal Lions for UK podcast on Monday. I think we're doing I can't remember. Oh, we're checking back on the 2022 draft class. 3 years for all the rookies, judging where they're at. We're going to look at the 2022 draft class, maybe do a trivia quiz as well. And then me and Ryan will be back next week for something else equally fun on the College Football Podcast on the Wednesday. We will decide in due course. As always, if you have questions, if you have anything else, let us know and we shall get it into the show. But just remains for me to thank Ryan. Appreciate it. Been a long one, but it's been good. And we shall see you for the next one. Bye bye.